What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I am one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Great to be back.
Good to have you back.
Great to be back.
It's been too long since you sat behind that
Thanks,
microphone. Beard all close to it.
Oh, yeah.
Over there, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host. Thanks for that, Nick.
Over there, the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Go Islanders.
And then right here, the one and only Mike Drucker.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm on camera.
Everyone knows Mike Drucker, I assume.
Everyone.
But for the few who don't,
Yeah.
Mike Drucker has had an illustrious career.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Made some of your games you love out there. He wrote Up at Noon for a long time.
Yep.
Until he was poached by some hack named Jimmy Fallon, who took him to late night and
Right.
then took
Never
him
heard
The
of him.
Tonight Show.
to the Tonight Show. Now you write for the Tonight Show.
That's right.
That's fucking awesome.
Thank
How
you.
fucking weird is that?
It's very weird. It's very weird. There are days when I still there are days when I don't realize that I do that. You know, like when you're like, oh, all right, I'll go to work, and then you're like, oh wait, no, I'm doing something really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's cool.
It's like me every day.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
you never have the realization.
Yeah.
I imagine
Gotta get out of bed at
that it's
10:30.
exactly like working at IGN.
It's
Just like, because when you were there, so just to bring everyone up, Drucker was the one and only, well, I guess Altano wrote a little bit on it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at first you were the only writer.
at first I was the only sort of comedy writer.
Right, of Up at Noon, and this
Yeah.
was back when we were doing all the Start stuff.
Yeah.
And we brought you in, and we were like, cool, you're a writer.
Yeah.
Take care of the entire thing. And this is like a 30-minute show that you were
Yeah.
basically in charge of writing.
Yeah.
So I imagine that writing for Jimmy Fallon's exactly the same. You in a room.
Just me in a room by
Right?
myself.
Jimmy comes in and he's like,
Right.
"What do you got for me today?"
It's just me and
you
one
pitch him on
cameraman.
80 monologue jokes.
Yeah.
He does what I used to do, and I, just like totally entitled. Like, I don't get any of these because I don't get video games. And Greg's like, "No, they're really funny."
Right.
Then Mike Pereira is there, and he's like, these are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Crow's like, and then you go, and then you just rinse and repeat the next day. Is that pretty accurate?
It's almost like because we only did one show a week with GameOverGreggy. God, we only did one show a week with Up at Noon, and it's almost like everything we did for each week in one day.
Jesus Christ.
So you know
man.
how like we'd be running around and be like, oh, something just happened, we need to do this, and like we'd run around and have a bunch of meetings. That's all condensed every day, Monday through Friday.
Right, because it's so topical too.
It's so topical.
So the second something like I'm sorry, I know this is one of the topics. Are we starting off with this topic?
This was
or-
the first topic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
we're
okay.
there. We're in the thick
I'm
of it.
going straight into it.
Yeah.
So how often do you guys have to do fire drills? How often is it like the show's about to happen and then like Donald Trump said something crazy and now it's time to we
Not
gotta
as-
write like 10 jokes about
Not
it?
as often as you think, because we tape at 5 p.m. Eastern, and a lot of like crazy news breaks like at 7 o'clock. You know, like debates and stuff don't happen until after we're done.
Right, okay.
I think the last time that happened was the week before. We're on hiatus right now, but the week before was when Mitt Romney went on TV and like shot down Donald Trump. Then Donald Trump went on TV and like shot down Mitt Romney. That was the last time we were like watching TV, typing furiously, sending in jokes, like joke after joke after joke after joke, just to sort of get on top of that topic. Usually the news is a little bit more easy for us. You know, like we'll have pitches at night that's like, hey, this is what happened tonight. Here's my idea for what we should do in it. And then in the morning it's like, okay, here's what happened overnight. Here are some new ideas for it. But it's been crazy lately. This election has made our jobs a lot of fun, but also really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make him easier.
It didn't make it easier. Well,
There's so much.
Because there's so much
Fodder.
going on. And also, you know, you don't want to just repeat the same Donald Trump joke every day. You don't want to repeat the same Mitt Romney joke or when Mitt Romney talked. Like, you don't want to just say, I mean, it's fun to call Chris Christie fat, but you can't, only call Chris Christie fat. You can for a little while. You can do it a lot. You can do it a lot, but there's a point also when the audience is like, all right, we stop
He's
saying
up
he's
on
fat.
him. He's got a glandular problem.
Right. So a lot of it's like thinking up
Thyroid
new
issue.
angles on stuff and trying to find a way to talk about it. And also like, the audience is like, very polarized right now. Like there's people who are insane about Bernie Sanders. And if you make fun of Bernie Sanders, they get upset.
Oh,
And
that's a
there's people that get-
sensitive bunch.
Right, that's a sensitive bunch.
sensitive bunch
But,
right there.
Donald Trump people get upset about it too. Like, all elections are polarizing, but this one's super polarizing. And especially our show, we try to hit both sides just as a matter of course. It's just what Jimmy wants to do is make sure we cover all our bases. And it's just interesting because sometimes, you'll do a joke about Bernie Sanders and like people on Twitter will be like, oh, you're so conservative. And then you do a joke about Donald Trump. People are like, oh, liberals, classic Hollywood liberals. And you can't win. It'll be the same monologue. And people on two different sides of the aisle will see it two different ways.
So walk me through so you guys said you're on a hiatus now. So first of all, how many weeks a year does Jimmy Fallon film?
We film, I could be wrong, and I don't want to be wrong, but I think it's something like 42 weeks. So maybe we get 10 weeks off, and maybe more, maybe less.
Okay, and so what does that Monday through Friday look like? Like what you get up? So what time do you get there? What time do you leave? Like what's that whole? Because it seems like it's a job that is just inherently quite soul sucking, not in a bad way, but
time consuming.
Time consuming.
It's time consuming. It's not soul sucking.
Synonyms.
It's
soul
definitely
sucking.
it's definitely
No.
time consuming.
but killing you.
I get in relatively early. A lot of people sort of write from home for a while, and then they come in like maybe 10 or 11. There's no hard and fast like punch. You don't have to come in and punch your card. But, we have deadlines throughout the day of when pitches are due, when jokes are due. And usually in the morning, like we'll have, if thank you notes are due that day, thank you notes will be due at like 9:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. depending on the day. Then at 11, we have to turn in monologue jokes. And then, our head writer will pick out what he likes and be like, okay, we're going to work on this, or okay, we need more on this topic, or these are the sketches we're going to do. Then at 12:30, there's something called the creative meeting. And that's when big sketches are read. Things like if Jimmy's going to dress up as Donald Trump and we need to have hair and makeup ready to do it. Things that are huge productions, those will read about 12:30 or 1 o'clock, and he approves those or says, like, here's the changes I want. And then around 1:30, we have a monologue meeting, which is for smaller stuff, like things that are not huge productions, just Jimmy talking to the camera or a graphic readout that can be edited really easily. And after that, we do what's called a monologue rehearsal at about 3:30, where a group of tourists will come in and watch. Jimmy will just come out and just not casually, but he'll read a rough draft of everything.
Sack.
He's in a potato sack.
Just shorts.
He's actually a 900-pound man, and then when we turn on the lights, he's fine. No, he just comes out and he reads sort of a rough draft of everything. And then from that, we figure out what's in the final show at 5 p.m. And then the
Sounds
next
like
day
a
we start
crazy
over.
day.
It's always a crazy day.
Yeah.
So 5 p.m. hits.
5 p.m. hits, we're recording.
The show's recording.
Yes.
You immediately shut your computer down and go home.
No, we write more jokes and we pitch for the next day.
So what time do you go home?
I
traditionally?
usually
or do you
leave-
go home? Do they have little cots for you that you
I
just
wish
roll
they
over
had
and
cots.
sleep?
There have been, when we've done double tapings, there have been once or twice when we've done like a 5 o'clock show and an 8 o'clock show, just like, something's going on, or, for whatever reason, Friday's off, but we're going to do 2 shows. I've taken an hour and slept under my desk just to like get my energy back.
Yeah, you have to, I'd imagine.
But I mean, like, they're cool about it. Like, it's a cool job, and like, I'm lucky to have it.
They're not walking around poking you.
Yeah,
with the
they're not.
giant
No. Everyone's super
funnier.
cool. Everyone
What about
wants it to be a good show. We're all on
Yeah.
the same team. Because people always think that it's competitive, and it's not. Like, it's really like people trying to help each other out. I usually leave probably 6:30.
Okay.
Oh, it's not terrible.
That was a long
how many
answer.
writers are in the room now?
There's, if you count producers, I think there's something like 18 writers.
Wow.
But different people do different things. Like, there's people who just sort of write like the musical parody type stuff. Or at least focus on that. There's some people, whose main focus is stuff like Ew, where Jimmy plays the teen girl, and there's people who do a little more monologue stuff. Everyone's allowed to pitch anything, but there's people who sort of have, specialties.
So when something like lip sync battles happens,
Yeah.
right? How far ahead is that thought? Is that something Jimmy's like, we want to do this, we potentially want to make this a bigger thing, or was it just like hey, it's hilarious, so we're gonna do a lip sync battle real quick?
It depends. I mean, it could be either. I mean, and a lot of things like lip sync battle and a lot of the games are segment producers. So those aren't writers who are doing those. Those are producers
those
whose
are
job.
actual-
Like, there's a guy at our show who has like a ton of toys at his desk, and like you can see him like just trying out different, iterations of different game ideas, trying to figure out things that like might
That's what
play
he
well in front
tells
of a
you.
camera.
Yeah, as he's mashing them. together.
Right. He's also a huge gamer. Like, one of the guys who does that like is the hugest gamer. But a lot of it, like, it depends. Like, sometimes they'll be like, oh, okay, we're going to schedule this. Sometimes a guest will come in and go like, I really want to do a lip sync battle. Can we do that? And we're like, of course, you're a movie star. We will do whatever you
Right,
want.
you're The Rock. Right.
Or sometimes like people will be like, oh, it's been forever since we've done this. Any segment can come back for any reason, but there's no hard and fast scheduling.
But so you have like you have skits where he plays Donald Trump, right? And you need sets for that.
Yes.
You have like a whole it's a whole skit.
Yeah.
How quickly can your like art department respond to that?
They're amazing.
Because
They're
that like
super fast.
for instance, I saw one where it was him and the Fuller cast.
Yeah.
That was how does that work? How does that come about?
They have, especially in 30 Rock, because we're a skyscraper, they have to build it in little segments that they can carry in and out of freight elevators.
Really?
Oh my god.
And it's a lot of the crews are often the similar crews with SNL. Like, it's crews that their whole life is building sets and tearing them down as fast as possible. Like, if our show sounds impressive, SNL, like, you'll see someone ripped. When I was an assistant at SNL, like, you'd see like the person sort of torn back, and they're stripping them live because they're like, there's like 8 costume people just ripping off their clothes, putting on something, putting on a wig, while all these crew members are bringing in sets and setting them up. That's what they do, but they do it. It's almost like a fire drill.
But did that specific skit, like, obviously you knew the cast was gonna be part. Did that happen before that day, or were you like, you know what, this would be hilarious if we did this, and then 3 hours later he's in a wig in a bed talking to Uncle Jesse?
Donald Trump stuff is often like that. Donald Trump stuff is often like, oh, this just happened, let's do a Donald Trump today. Something like Fuller House, I think, was planned way ahead because they
Must
have to
have
fly
been.
in
It's a
people,
kind of a
put
promo
people
for the
up,
show,
get
right?
things
Yeah, okay.
approved,
That
stuff
makes
like
sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
How much is it? Sorry, how much is it Jimmy's show? Like, so it's
Yeah.
often does he come up with the jokes and the ideas and stuff like that?
A lot. He's there every day. He's there for meetings. Like, it's not like, you always hear these old timey stories of like Johnny Carson being like, 60 something and rolling in at 3 o'clock and handed a script. That's not what we do. He's always there approving or disapproving or making changes. And a lot of times during rehearsals, he'll take something further and make it much better, and then we'll add that in. So he's very involved in the process. And I'll see him in the hallway all the time, and I'll see him in meetings. Like, I'm not like some shadow he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, hey, Matt, good to
Hey,
see
Matt.
you.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Why does he sound like that? Is that how Jimmy Fallon really sounds?
And then we mic him, and he has a good voice
"Hello,
and
everyone."
everything. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
What is it like because you're a writer, and when I wrote at IGN, for instance, like we kind of had a scattershot mentality where it was like I knew what I was going to write, even if it wasn't the greatest thing I'd ever written, was going to get on the site and people were going to read it. You guys kind of have to funnel all of your ideas and everything to this kind of one apex where everything kind of is disseminated. You guys don't have like a lot of options. So how is it how does it feel to kind of get your stuff on the show? Is it a dejected feeling when you don't get something on the show? Do you like experience writer's block or have good streaks and bad streaks? I mean, how do you kind of internalize all that kind of stuff, and how does that feel? Because I imagine that's you say it's not competitive, and I totally believe it, but at the same time, I know you want to contribute. And
well, I'm definitely competitive with myself. Like, I want to do well, and there's definitely days when I've had nothing on and you feel bad. And it's not like you feel bad because someone's making you feel bad. You just want to do well. It's an endurance challenge. It's a lot like, I've never played sports, but I imagine it's like a sport where every day, obviously I've never played sports, but every day you have to come in and, you might have had, like a bad night, or you didn't sleep that well, or you're sick, and you still have to come in and produce ideas and, pitch something and try to do your best. Like, you can't really have like a fuck it day at that job, just because, if you're not going to do the job, there's a ton of people that are willing to do that job.
And they're
instead.
waiting right behind you.
And they're right behind you. And they
fucking
don't,
on your heels.
And to our show's credit, they never say things like that, but in your own head, you sort of know, like, I need to
you
come
guys-
every day and do work.
This is an Emmy award-winning show, for Christ's
Right,
sake.
right,
though.
right.
Like, this is and this is what we were talking about on the walk home. Like, you guys are the top of the mountain. I mean, you guys are the best show in late night.
I mean, there's a lot of good shows in late night. We're also all friends with the other shows.
I'm not trying to get you to talk shit, but but you guys. But I'm saying, as far as visibility goes, it is one of the best shows on television.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
And not only that, but you guys seem to have your finger on the pulse when it comes to online as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, I can't stay up that late most of the time, and if I do, it's probably because I'm watching porn. So most of the time, I have to catch it the next day or whenever it posts online. And it's just your shit's fucking funny, man. You guys are good.
And a lot of that's Jimmy.
How's the YouTube stuff kind of changed how you write things, or has it at all?
It hasn't. Here's the thing: is late night and sketch shows like SNL and like our show or Colbert or Seth Meyers. We're all very lucky that late night was built for the internet before the internet was made. Other shows, it's hard for like sitcoms to get good clips online. You have to have funny moments. But for us, like, you could go back and watch Johnny Carson moments or Jack Parr moments that fit in 3-minute chunks. Because we started as short form, we just happen to work for the internet. Obviously we try to watch trends and we try to, do things that we want to do well on the internet, but we're not chasing, internet stars. We're not like, okay, this person did this, so we're going to bake fucking cupcakes on the show just to, copy someone else. We're just lucky that late night works for the internet.
You guys aren't trying to do any Let's Plays anytime soon.
No, I wish. I've done more and more Twitch, but, no. I mean, we'll have tech demos and stuff.
I was
but we
gonna say,
haven't
I
Let's Plays.
remember that when Jimmy, when he started doing that, he was the first person. He debuted which one? I don't want to fucking. I think Last of Us gameplay, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't
Last
he
of
was
Us.
the first
He
one.
loved Last of Us, yeah.
Country
Yeah.
Returns.
Yeah. And he plays games. He's a
Something
gamer.
or whatever.
But I remember when he had like Freddie Wong on and things like that.
Yeah.
That was crazy for me. I'm like, wow, this guy actually is acknowledging that the internet exists. And there are people on YouTube that have big audiences, and he's open to that. That's pretty cool.
And that's Jimmy. Like, Jimmy, he was the first host, I think, at least of that sort of generation. He's relatively young. He's I think 40 or 41, and he kind of like, okay, the internet's important. The internet matters.
Right.
We need to get, people, we need to put things out there that people want to watch online. That's a huge part of him.
Do you find when people reference stuff that you work on, are they finding it through mostly the late night portal, or are they finding it online?
I think like my dad and my dad's friends usually find it on TV. They're like, oh, I watch it every night. And then like my friends are like, I saw it online, or someone posted it on Facebook.
Sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Brave new world.
Yeah. But
nuts.
it's nice. It's nice that it's working. Like, it's, we don't have to change. We came in being that way.
And who's the showrunner right now?
Showrunner is a guy named Josh Lieb. He used to work at The Daily Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you guys write something I've always never understood when it comes to the late night show stuff is the interviews.
Yeah.
And especially like seeing when Greg would interview people on
Yeah.
Up at Noon or whatever. It would be more like Greg prepares, he knows what he's saying, he just kind of like asks a bunch of questions and then that's just the interview. But when you watch late night interviews, especially when you see like the clips online or whatever, it always kind of seems like there's a story being told and like it's a joke in itself. Where it's like they always focus on specific things and you can kind of tell that like it almost feels like they planned it before they did the interview of, all right, then we're going to get to this point to make this joke or whatever. Yeah. Do you guys write that as well?
We don't write it. Usually what happens, and sometimes it changes, like the whole Nicole Kidman thing that went viral with Jimmy where she was like, I wanted to go on a date with you and you asked me to play Mario Kart. That nobody planned that. And that was a huge thing. That just, she mentioned it and he didn't know that was coming. A lot of the time, it's not written, but there's a group of producers whose job it is to call up the celebrities and say, okay, what do you want to talk about? Do you have any stories you want to put in? Anything? How do you want to talk about your movie or your book? And that way, the celebrity or the guest feels comfortable coming in, and Jimmy sort of, it's not like word for word written out, but it's like, oh, hey, you went on a trip recently. Why don't you tell us about that? And they have a funny story planned.
That makes a lot of sense.
Rarely is anything written word for word. There's been once in a while when like there's been a funny segment we've written for them that they've said at the table, but it's never like we're never like ghostwriting entire interviews.
Yeah, I have to imagine
the Oscars.
I have to imagine they have to, I mean, they are there as representatives of product, right?
Yeah.
And so it probably behooves them because you used to do the same thing. There's probably a fairly, I would imagine casual pre-interview process where you guys are talking and say like, these are what we're going to cover. This is what's going to happen. Like, and I have to think. I'm not going to call it out, but I have to think there's a whole publicist arm sitting in the wings going, please talk about this, please say this, please talk about it this way. So you have to, you're not just a star that gets to go on these things. I mean, although it's an awesome opportunity, I'm sure they do want to do it, but you are kind of an emissary from whatever project you're working on at the time. Right. So you have to be a figurehead for that.
And it changes celebrity to celebrity. Some people are like, hey, I just want to come in and do my thing. And it's like, great. And there's some people who are like, I want every beat of this planned out. But that's sort of up to them. We want to make them feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to get too nerdy-ish, but who's sort of like starstruck you a little bit when they walked in?
Weird Al meeting Weird Al. Really,
no shit.
It freaked me out. Because like here's the thing is like you walk in and like it's part of the job and you see celebrities and it's cool. Like you see them in the hallway, you're like, oh my god, there's like Tom Hanks in the hallway, and it's cool. But like it's the people who you feel are just one step away from like something that changed your life a little bit. And Weird Al, like as a kid, I just listened to him constantly. So like meeting him and seeing him in person and getting to talk to him just a little bit was amazing.
Yeah, because I think the first week or two you were there, you were tweeting out things like, "Hey, just sitting here watching like Paul McCartney warm up."
I saw Paul McCartney warm up,
like,
which was also really
cool.
cool.
That is awesome.
That's one of the coolest things about Fallon specifically is it's so music focused, whether it's the music comedy stuff or just having the Roots as the fucking band. Yeah, it's like get out of here. That you just won over everyone else.
Right, and I'll see the Roots in the hallway. Like I'm like they're my coworkers at like the Christmas party. It's very weird. It's very weird to be there.
But are there like stratas? Like, do you talk to everybody, or is it like you stick to the writers? And
no, you talk to everybody. Okay. There's different people who have different schedules. Like a bunch of the Roots live in Philly, so they have their own bus that they come in with. So it's not like
it's like the Google bus,
but it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that.
That's awesome.
So it's not like we're all sharing the same office where I'm like, oh hey Quest, like they're on the other side of the floor, but at the same time,
if it was an open floor plan and everyone
had the same thing. But that said, there's no walls between people. It's not like if I talk to Tariq, I'm going to get in trouble for it.
So like Jimmy doesn't have a thing where you can't look him in the eye or something like that.
No, there's nothing like that.
You can't like you touch him, you're immediately fired and they kill you.
No,
you're like you just disappear somewhere between 30 and like the floor 1. You're just
he's
gone.
like 6'3" though. So whenever
is he that tall?
Yeah, he's very tall.
That's
which is
I hate working with incredibly tall, egotistical people.
He's not
even. I'm sorry. I threw that last part. I was just putting it out there. I love you, Greggy.
I love you too.
Love you.
But he's very tall. But then we'll have Shaq on, and Shaq will be like 7'9" or something.
Oh, then you're like, well.
Yeah. I did walk in the bathroom on Mike Tyson once, which was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What happened?
What were you doing? Yeah.
I literally went, oh, and then like went out. I was just like, oh, you're here.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Like, it's not like I wasn't allowed to be in the bathroom. I was just so surprised that Mike Tyson was peeing that I was like, okay. And just left. I was like, you do your thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's crazy. So the question I have is more about you, Mr. Drucker.
Yes,
like,
sir.
was this always the goal? Like, when you came, like, when you came to write for Up at Noon, it
Yeah.
was like, oh, cool, we're finally putting money into like this project.
Right.
Or not finally, I guess. We're putting money into this project.
Right.
We're taking it seriously. We're bringing in a real comedian, a real writer.
Yeah.
But I never, like, even when I met you, I remember interviewing you and we went and ate waffles and watched the pilot at my desk.
Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't like I got the sense that like you were always on this trajectory to get there.
No, I definitely wasn't. The way it happened was when I was at IGN, I did a comedy festival called the Montreal Comedy Festival. And I was something called a new face of comedy, which is they have like 20 or 30 people that are supposed to be like the new generation every year.
Yeah.
I was one of them, which is very nice. And so a bunch of people from Fallon saw me there. And then it was also the 2012 election, and I was doing a lot of jokes on Twitter about that.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to be people saw me there and said I was funny. People were seeing my tweets, and 2 writers were leaving for other projects. They were just like, they had been there a bunch of years and they were ready to move on. And so I was contacted, and they were like, would you be interested in applying for this? And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then I applied and I got the job.
So when you went off and started, like, because I guess explain to me when in your life you decide you want to be a comedian. Because even Nintendo's an interesting pick, but you're
Yeah.
a writer there, but you're making jokes.
Right.
Like, how does this path start?
I always liked comedy a lot. I didn't know I wanted to be a comedian. I thought I was going to be, in high school, I wanted to be a computer programmer. I wanted to program video games.
You?
Yeah. And I
Can't-
was
can't see
terrible
it.
at, well, I went to a high school that had a technology program, but it was so underfunded, and our programming teacher just didn't show up sometimes. And so we just played Unreal Tournament all
Nice.
like for 2 years.
Nice.
Naturally.
Which is great, but I didn't learn anything about programming.
Got good
like
on Unreal though.
we even took AP programming, and literally everyone just walked out. Like we opened the book and we were like, we don't know this, and we just left. And in Florida, they were paying for it for you, so you weren't losing money on it. And so I wanted to be a writer for a while after that. I was like, if I can't program, maybe I'll be a writer. I didn't know how to do that, so I went to NYU and became an English major. And then around my junior year, people were always like, oh, you should try comedy. You should do it. It's fun. And so I tried it, and I stuck with it.
So walk me through the first time when you had the balls to actually get on stage and do stand up, because you're still doing stand up.
I'm still doing
You're
stand-up.
quite an
He's
accomplished.
killing
stand-up
it
still doing
across the
stand-up.
country
Yeah.
every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Louis C.K. says he doesn't want to follow you ever.
Louis C.K. He followed me once on a show at Whiplash at UCB in New York,
you?
and it was terrifying. Because there's a theater called Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, which is like a sort of, they say it's an indie theater, but it's like a huge improv theater.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the equivalent of Second City in New York.
Yeah, it's like the Groundlings. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they have a show called Whiplash, which is now hosted by Aparna. We were talking about Aparna. And I went up and I had a good set, and then I came out and Louis was up after me, and he's like, hey, good job, man. I was like, all right. And I just said no words, and I just ran away.
He's like, God, that
I
Drucker
was
guy's
so
a dick."
nervous.
You're like, wow.
I was so nervous because that show is like a drop-in show. It's like a show where like, they'll schedule like mid-level people like myself, and then like high-level people like Louis or Aziz Ansari will just like drop in and
Just stop in.
fucking get on stage.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So at what point did you do? Were you like stand up? Terrifying. I'll do it.
I just wanted to do it. It was, it's the same with writing where you're like, maybe I'll suck at it, but at least I can say I tried doing it.
Sure.
And I knew that I sucked versus being the asshole who's like the funny guy in the office who's like, yeah, I could have done comedy. I didn't really feel like it.
Right.
I would rather fail and know that I tried than never try.
So how long did you have to do it before you were like, I'm actually pretty okay at this. I can hold my own.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You get like little boosts of confidence. Like you'll have one set that goes well. And it's like every time you think that you're about to be not done doing it, like you'll quit, but you think you're like, this is the best I'll ever be. And I'm great at it. And then you'll suck for a while and you'll be like, I can't do this. Then you'll rise back up a little better than before. And then you'll be like, I'm the best at this. Then you'll suck again. And it's sort of going up and down in waves. It's just your job to make sure that the up waves are better than they were before.
That seems like a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, but it's also paid off. And it's just a thing where it's like writing. The longer you do it, the better you get at it just by doing it. And the key isn't that to know anybody, it's just to not quit. Like we all know people who are more talented than us that quit doing what they're doing. And then we got to get those jobs because they stopped doing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So then when you get poached by this Fallon guy and basically sink Up at Noon single-handedly.
Yeah.
You were going to do
Even
just
though the show kept going.
You
for
kept
2
going.
years.
2 years.
Yeah.
It's still going.
Oh, good
technically.
point. Still going.
Still
yeah.
going. The show that I sung.
You go, but you're going just to do the late show with him.
Yeah.
It's not the Tonight
Late
Show.
night, yeah,
Did they
yeah.
ever tip their hand that that's what it was going to be, or like?
Maybe 4 months into it, they were like, we might become the Tonight Show. But the way they sort of said it was like, we're not sure. This looks like it could happen. And at the time, I was like, all right, well, I'm still trying to figure out if I can do this job.
Right.
I was still, worried that every 13 weeks I'd get laid off. Not because that they were doing that to people, but that's how our contracts work.
Oh, really? You have 13 weeks?
13 weeks.
Interesting.
Which is standard for late night.
Still terrifying.
Still terrifying.
Yeah.
And then towards the middle of the year, they're like, no, we're definitely becoming the Tonight Show. And we're like, oh, crap. And we had all these meetings about what we do. And then we had to switch studios while they renovated our main studio. But my desk stayed the same. Like I got a new contract, but I think I was basically paid the same. It just had like a different show title on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
How much
yeah.
did the job actually change then?
Not much. It's a little more like at the start of it, I think they were more like, hey, everybody, like, we know you're working your hardest, but just try to be sure you're working your hardest because we want to, this to do well. But everyone's job description stayed the same. We all tried to put in a little more effort, I guess, just to make sure we were doing well, but nothing really changed.
So the style didn't change at all?
Style didn't really change. The staff didn't change. My desk is the same. Everything pretty much stayed the same, which I think is good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that NBC liked Jimmy at late night and they wanted Jimmy at the Tonight Show. And if we had changed, we would have been ruining the reason that we got the Tonight Show.
God, that was a crazy time, though. That
Yeah.
must have been a very stressful time for Jimmy as well, because there was a lot of speculation.
It was super stressful.
And Leno was like,
yeah,
maybe I'll quit, maybe I won't.
yeah. He was
Didn't really know.
supportive of it, which was nice.
That's cool.
So, we were able to.
He had a good run.
Yeah.
But that
Very good
means
run.
back here on the sidelines, watching you soar into space like the shooting star you
Soar into
are.
space.
That was the crazy thing. Is like it was like mind-boggling that somehow. Because I remember the joke always was that you were talking about in your interview.
Yeah.
That they talked about the duck hunt bit you and Brian did. That
Yeah.
It's like, and it was like Jimmy had seen that.
Yeah, Jimmy
And it's like,
liked
I can't
games.
believe Jimmy watched this crappy show we do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so it was crazy that you're going to work for Jimmy Fallon on this late night show or whatever. And then it became the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And we were all like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, but you have that pedigree, though. You came from SNL as well.
I came from SNL. I was an
Which is
assistant
crazy.
who was writing update jokes and getting update jokes on. So, and I wrote for the ESPYs with Seth. So,
And you were working directly under Seth Meyers.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like,
I think the most important thing is that you're really funny on Twitter.
thank you very
really
much.
So
are.
Yeah.
everyone should follow him at Mike Drucker.
Thank you guys. It's at Mike Drucker.
every single time there's an award show on, like the Academy Awards, I'm like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to live tweet and I'm just going to say the first thing that comes, and then I get caught up with his fucking Twitter.
Yeah.
And I just keep reading it and I'm like, ooh, I forgot. Oh, well.
Yeah.
It's fun. You're
Thank you.
hilarious.
I appreciate it. I
You
try
just
my
bomb,
best.
they just come in like these waves.
Well, that's the thing.
And I just keep
Even
ready for the
without
next wave.
even without like the actual timely stuff, like usually you'll post a joke and then you'll post another one and then another one, like three just back to back, totally unrelated things. I'm like, fuck, these are all funny. And I just think it's cool because it's like, I just have this vision of you just kind of like just cranking shit out, just like that's
what I like
was
to
funny.
do.
Now here's some more funny. I'm like, yeah.
And it's fun for me. I like writing jokes.
Sometimes I do have this desire to call you and just ask if you're doing okay.
Yeah, no, sometimes
just
I'll also
want
be
you to
like
know
drunk
that.
and depressed on Twitter and just start spouting out crazy stuff. But I like that. I like building that persona out there too.
It's there.
Right.
The depressed comedian.
The depressed comedian. I like, because I want to be able to do myself. And the nice thing about Twitter too is like for the Tonight Show, I'm writing in Jimmy's voice, and Twitter is me writing in my voice.
Right.
And the two aren't the same voice. And it's nice to be able to like, I get to do music for one band, but then I get to do music for this band. You know what I mean? Like it's a way for me to, and it's not like a stress relief thing. It's just like, okay, I have a funny idea, but it wouldn't work over here.
So are you concerned at all, or do you like how do you partition it all out? Because when you're ranting on these jokes on Twitter, some of which are hilarious, it could be really, really funny bits.
Yeah.
When you go to do stand up,
Yeah.
do you keep some back a little bit? You're like, well, I'm not going to put that out because that's hilarious, and I kind of want to develop that. Or
No, I've turned Twitter stuff into stand up. I'm not worried about that. If someone like I don't like being
someone's
stolen
like, you
from.
said that on Twitter 8 months ago.
Right. No. I mean, there's stand up from like 4 years ago that I still do. Stand up's a little more like a building a performance, like not a one man show, which sounds shitty, but like just sort of building a performance and things in a library of things in a way you act it out.
Mm-hmm. But are you concerned that someone else would come around and be like, that's a really funny joke, I'm going to steal it?
It's happened, but it's something that you call that person out, then you just keep writing. You sort of build two defenses. You build a wall of content that you make yourself, and then you go, all right, fuck you, I'm going to go after you. And it's not like I'm going to sue you, but I'm going to make sure that I know that you stole that.
Right. And everyone knows that you
Right.
stole it.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that because that seems to be kind of in the zeitgeist right now
Yeah.
with comedy. With what's that guy? The guy with on Instagram.
The fat Jewish.
The
Oh,
fat
the
Fat
Jewish,
Jewish, yeah.
yeah.
Oh god, the fat
and-
Jewish. I
and-
hate that dude.
But you see that a lot with people stealing jokes. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember even back in the day, Seth Rogen taking
Right.
the stage and accusing.
Do you mean
Carlos
Seth
Mencia.
Rogen.
Yeah, Mencia.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
You mean Joe
on.
Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe. I mean, who did I say? Seth
You
Rogen.
said Seth
episode.
Rogen. Yeah, Joe
Joe
Rogan
Rogan.
had a big.
Seth
Rogen.
Rogen.
I think I
like,
knew who you meant.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But like doing it on stage, like very
Yeah.
confrontational sort of way. So I mean, obviously this has been going on for decades, I'm sure. But
Sure.
Mencia
but
was a big offender. Of
But
that.
yeah, but what is that? What is that like as a comedian? Like, because I do think it's kind of taken lightly. Like, oh, the meme was stolen, and
It's
you know,
shitty.
but like no one would steal. Like if you steal a chord, a chord progression from a band or whatever, like
Right.
people are gonna call you out for that. So what is it like? Why is there an exception, or seemingly people want to make an exception for a joke, but it's just a bunch of thought and talent. To
It's
make it.
different, than like a chord progression. Like it might be something like, oh, like we had similar ideas, and like, or someone like heard an idea I said, and they like wrote a joke on a similar concept, like on like dating or something, and that's harder, to go after. But it's sort of like when Vanilla Ice stole the beat of Under Pressure, then you're stealing a whole beat that goes to something. And that's more of what joke stealing is like. It's like, okay, well, maybe you rewrote it or you had it your own way, but you also took this whole chunk of it. And there is also a difference between like, oh, we had the same idea. Did you take my idea? And oh, that's word for word for word.
Yeah, Schumer had some problem with that.
Yeah,
the last like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I don't think Schumer still. I mean, some of those jokes are jokes that you're like, I think a lot of people could have come to that.
Yeah, and that's
result.
where the speculation comes in,
Right.
right? When you're writing a variety show, when
Yes.
you're doing skits, it's like how hard is it to pull?
Right.
That someone would do a skit that revolves around a club and that revolves around like I mean I
Well,
I
and,
don't
like,
know any specific examples.
There was
of it,
one guy
but-
who went after Conan, and he was like, he stole my jokes. I tweeted this, and Conan did this, and you saw the jokes, and you're like, yeah, we did the same joke, because you'll sometimes hear a topic, especially for monologue, and it's not like, oh, this is lazy, this is a joke, but like sometimes you just land on the same
There's
joke.
easy answers.
There was
yeah.
one time when 4 monologue writers, including myself, or 4 writers writing for the monologue, wrote almost the exact same joke about Hillary Clinton, and it was like a joke involving Bill Clinton. It wasn't even a great joke, but we all like we're all like, oh man, I can't believe my joke made it, and they're like, no, that's mine, it's mine, and he just all 4 of us happened to land on the same idea at the
That's
same
fucking
time,
hilarious.
and that happens too.
Sure.
Well, especially since you guys are all like, you have to be experts on what's happening in the world,
Right.
So your job is to stay up on politics, on current
Yeah.
events, on pop culture, and that's always probably sitting there cranking in the back of your mind of like,
Yeah.
that's funny. Oh, that
Right.
boom,
Yeah.
that's it, and that's there, and you have to imagine that everyone's as hungry as you are to get something on the show.
Of course, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine it. It's hard because it's hard just to even when you're talking in a podcast setting,
Right, yeah.
and you say something, and then you realize 20 minutes later, you're like, did I make that up, or was that a movie? Was that something from a movie I
Yeah,
saw in the
yeah.
80s?
It's
you know?
always the answer for you.
Usually the
Yeah.
80s, because I'm completely
I
unoriginal.
don't think you've
and I
ever
steal
said something that
everything.
wasn't somehow a quote from an 80s movie.
That's probably true. It's usually just Caddyshack.
Yeah.
That's nuts though. That's got to be hard.
Yeah.
So then, Druck, what's the future for you?
I don't know yet. I'm doing a podcast now called How to Be a Person, plugging it.
Kevin, put it up.
Put it up with Tonight Show writer named Jess Dweck, and Greg's been on it.
I have been.
Greg was great on it. We teach people how to do human things because we're both social cripples.
Can I? Oh, I see. That's the joke. I was going to say, if you want to do a show called How to Be Human and your first guest was Greg, you're a little off.
He
I
talked
just
about
want
like
you
how to
know
like
that.
start a web business.
Okay, cool.
So we
'Cause
sort of
he-
I was like, get Nick.
Yeah.
Nick will do all the adult things for you.
But we've had people like how to make friends or how to travel alone, or like my brother did how to live abroad because he's lived in different
That's cool.
countries.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then we're doing another podcast for Earwolf with a Daily Show writer named Trayvon Free about Hamilton. So we're doing a whole podcast about the musical Hamilton,
You're
which
doing
I never thought I would do.
an entire podcast
About the musical
Hamilton.
That's
This has been a
correct.
trend recently where
Yeah.
people do podcasts just
About
based on
one
something
subject.
very, 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 very,
Yeah.
very specific, and it's like I just
Well, it's nice
I
because
get it.
you can
Blew
do
up,
it because you can do a finite number of episodes. You know what I mean? Like with How to Be a Person, it's just an ongoing project. But with Hamilton, we're like, oh, we'll do this for a while. Then when we're done, we're done, and we can just have done a nice project.
makes sense.
And Hamilton's also great. I don't know if you guys have listened to it. Listen to it on Spotify. I get no money from saying this. Colin should listen to it. Listen to Hamilton.
No, now you see, you've given us money. You're a big supporter of us on
Yeah.
Patreon.com
Oh, yeah.
/kindafunny.
You're
You've
goddamn
given us
right I
money
am.
to do a topic where Colin has to listen and review Hamilton.
Yeah.
I will.
That'll be a treat for all of us involved.
Indeed.
Yeah, Drucker's topics are the best.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, for some reason people know you're the one who submitted Heartthrob for us.
Yeah, Heartthrob.
We're behind the NES music
Yeah,
quiz.
yeah.
You made me
You got
a
an
very
upcoming
embarrassing
one
hair
that's
video.
gonna be amazing.
Well,
Little
because I
hint.
know you guys. Like I don't
of
I don't want
course.
to know about your lives, but I know about your lives
Yeah.
from having worked with you. Like I'm not gonna be like, hey Nick, what's marriage like? I got divorced. I know what marriage is like.
Fair enough.
I want to put you guys under high pressure challenges that ruin you.
So in other words, you want to embarrass the shit
I want
out
to
of us,
embarrass
yeah.
you in friendly ways.
I just when those topics were read, I just imagined you way on the East Coast, cut to like maybe a day or two earlier and just hitting enter on that.
Yeah.
And just laughing your ass off
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maniacally, and then going and doing whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
Because you're a baller.
I love how you like a day or two earlier.
A day
You
or two-
have no idea how our Patreon system works. We're still like calling through 6 months of Drucker
That's fair
topic.
enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Because if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table.
Oh.
Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get the shows early along with exclusive access perks and episodes. If you have no bucks to toss us, though, you can go to youtube.com/kindafunny, see the show put up topic by topic, day by day, until the entire thing posts as one big MP3 and video. Tim,
Yes.
what's your topic?
So last week we went down to Austin, Texas, and it was awesome.
It was good
You
food.
you weren't there.
No,
wish
I
you were
wasn't there. That's
you would have
okay.
enjoyed it. It
I'll
would have
listen.
been. It would have been.
Have
a
you
lot
ever
of
been
fun.
to Austin, Texas?
I have. I like Austin.
Yes, you do.
And I wanted to talk kind of about what we did. We went down to see Rooster Teeth. We
Right.
did a lot of collaborations and stuff. And I
call
want
them
to talk
collabs.
about that experience that we had from everyone's perspective, specifically Nick and Colin. Because me and you, we've been there before. We've
How's that,
seen,
bro?
you know,
We're pounding, brothers.
it ain't our first time. We know how that all goes. But Colin, someone not really familiar with Rooster Teeth's content, and Nick, someone who, you know, likes making movies and likes the whole production stuff, but hasn't seen their studio and stuff.
Right.
I kind of want to hear what you guys' experience was there.
It was cool. It was interesting seeing how they operate, because in many ways, it's actually like, you like to think about what anyone's doing on the internet as cutting edge, but when you actually start breaking it down, what they're doing is very similar to how Hollywood sort of started, which was that you have a lot of people who have a distribution outlet who are then going to get talent underneath them and then start cranking out awesome stuff. And in that regard, it's really trippy to see, because my understanding is like, if you want to make a movie, there's so many moving parts. You have to find the financier, you have to develop the project, you have to get talent involved, you have to figure out who's going to direct, who's going to edit, who's going to shoot it. They want to do something, and it's all in-house. It's fucking crazy. And walking in, seeing the fact that they take up like 4 airplane hangars full of production. They have their own animation division, they have their own live action, they have their own broadcast division, all these things. They can do anything they want, and it's trippy. And they have makeup people. And that, I think, is the sign of when you've actually made it big.
When they
you
have
can
makeup
actually
people?
hire makeup people.
I mean,
Kevin can put makeup on you
Yeah,
anytime.
Yeah.
If Kevin put makeup on me, you know what? I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
I
It
feel
was
like
gonna be
you're
a really
the
offensive
prettiest,
joke.
though. Like, you need the least makeup.
Kevin's not very coordinated, though. He doesn't break anything. But I just feel like if you were to put makeup on me, I would look a little like a cross between a clown and a prostitute.
I used to work at a lotion place.
You did work. You worked at a L'Occitane.
Yeah, and,
That's right.
For one Valentine's Day, they did makeup. I took like a whole day to learn how to apply makeup on someone.
And you're just now telling me this. We've had you in
Never
our
come up.
employ for an entire
Never
year,
come up.
and you could have done my makeup every day that I walked through the door. Shame on you. Shame on you, Kevin.
So Rooster Teeth has had a makeup.
Getting back on topic.
They've had a makeup person forever. Like that to me is not the mind blowing thing. Like to me, what's mind blowing is. But I mean that's cool. That like to you that is a big deal. But like to me, what's the big deal is they now have a whole building for sets just to build sets.
I mean, they have their own art. It's crazy. They have their own art department. They have their own production designer that they keep on set, wardrobe, on staff. So that's what's crazy to me is you look, like when I think of all the things that I want to accomplish with this company, and you go and you see a company out there that's doing it, it's very inspirational. And that's what I took away from that, was that there are a group of people that, by and large, if you were to go to Hollywood and ask to be able to do these things, people would shut you down. There were so many gatekeepers to that success. They don't care, and they do it anyway. And they figured out a way to make it work. And that's what I think is the most impressive thing, is that like we walked in and it was a fully functioning studio.
Yeah.
Like similar to, like, probably on a much smaller scale, but similar to what they do on the Tonight Show, which is like, there is a whole division of the company that does the set. When an idea happens, boom, that set designer's there, that production designer's there. They put it together, they wheel it into the studio, and they're ready to rock and roll. And I just find it so fascinating that they've got this ecosystem there where creative ideas can just kind of flow quickly
from top
and
to
very
bottom
efficiently.
too.
Yeah.
I think that's the most interesting thing is like they can they can make an entire movie just using what they have and then get it out there without having to rely on other people. And not even just movies. They can do podcasts, they can do live streams, they can do gameplay stuff, they can do animation, all just using what they have, and they can use outside resources and talent and stuff, but they already have the whole foundation.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me on a micro scale of like a Disney, right? Where Disney has like it's a very multifaceted company with with just anything you want to do that has anything to do with production, whether it be animation, live action, TV, internet, music, whatever it is, they've got that in house, or they can develop that very, very quickly and get it out. It's weird. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that we could potentially be on a scale like that one day.
Yeah.
And it's also run by children. Everyone like seems to me that they're so young that I'm like, I don't understand. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they're like, yes, I'm 24. Get it. I understand what you're saying. Like,
I own a house.
right. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
that's right. You're a
Oh,
homeowner.
Austin.
They also live in a place that's easier to own a house.
That's true.
But
Like,
still.
yeah.
But that was my perception. It was awesome. It was awesome that we got to go down there, and it was great seeing also, because up until this point, the only people that I have consistently generated content with has been you guys and IGN. And so seeing how Rooster Teeth does it, and going down there and getting to do some stuff with Achievement Hunter and getting to be on some of their other shows and just seeing the different vibe and how they make content was just fun. It's good to, and it keeps you sharp too, because you're like, oh wait, these guys are like, all right, these guys are doing shit,
A
man.
whole
I gotta
bunch of
get
different
my
stuff.
fucking game face
Something
on.
people keep asking us for is a list of all the stuff that we did while we were down there. So Kevin, I'm going to get you links, but can you make sure that they're put in the description? We did about 10 different, maybe no, not 10, maybe like 6 or 7 Let's Plays with Achievement Hunter.
Yeah.
Those are not live yet. I don't know when those are going live, so there won't be links for
Michael's
those.
just gonna delete them because I
But,
look too good in them. And he
They were
doesn't like
good.
me
They
looking
were they were good Let's Plays.
Yeah.
I think the best Let's Plays we've ever been a part of because
Sure.
they were like really fun. I was on Off Topic, which is the Achievement Hunter podcast, and that was awesome. Greg was on The Patch, which is their general gaming podcast. You were on that with who?
I was on that with Gus and Meg.
Yeah,
And
cool.
Ryan, I guess too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did the book club too, where it's where it gets hairy. Because I did their book club for Life is Strange afterwards.
Mm-hmm. And then you and Greg and Nick were on the spot, which is
Right.
their game show. They're kind of like improv comedy game show,
Right.
and that I think is the funniest thing Kind of Funny's ever had to be a part of. Like,
That was a blast. Are you familiar with this show that they do? at
No,
all?
I haven't seen that. I mean, I know Rooster Teeth. I haven't seen this though.
Right. I mean, this is the crazy thing is you walk in and they're like, okay, you're going to do this. I'm like, how many fucking shows do you guys
Right.
do? This is insane. How do you keep it all straight? And they figured out. But one of the shows that I got to be on was On the Spot, which is basically like it's a game show, but it's largely predicated on improv and kind of like
Cool.
a longer form game show. And it was a blast.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It was just super fun. You'd be great on it.
If you're
actually.
watching Rooster Teeth, Mike
This is
Drucker
Mike
at
Drucker.
Twitter.
oh yeah,
Drucker
He's
would
even
be great at
closer.
that would be
Oh, you'd be
fucking
awesome on it.
It's actually
So
I think,
good.
at Mike Drucker.
At
on
Mike,
Twitter.
whatever, Greg.
That show would have made me really nervous. I'm
I'm
glad. I'm glad
Rooster
I don't
Teeth
have to do
tweets
that
at
show.
Twitter. I want
At
Mike Drucker. They're like, what?
They pitted
you got
Nick
it.
versus Greg, which I thought was awesome because I thought you guys were going to be on a team
Well,
together.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And so they pit them against each other. So it was Nick with Barbara and then Greg with Blaine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, man, this is going to be fucking
We
good.
drew dicks on somebody.
it
Who
was-
did? Find out.
Yeah. There
Did
was
I
a
take
lot
my
of
shirt
dicks.
off? You're goddamn right.
Of course
I
you
did.
did.
Yeah. No question about that.
Had to keep the streak going. Yeah, that was actually really fun because at first I'm like, we have a good camaraderie no matter what. But you being antagonistic against me is always when we're at our best.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
because you know exactly what to say to set me up for something.
And that was, and I know what not to say. There was
Yeah.
a few things where I was like, no, that's too far. I was telling Blaine, I'm like, I got a great one now. Because we were like doing team names and shit. I'm like, no, that's too far. I can't do that. that
And then we also Colin did one no news update video. I did one no news update video. And I think that's it.
Those were fascinating. Because
Yeah.
I was there when Ashley was like, hey, because you were the first one, can you do the no video? And you're like, yeah. And I was going to yell stuff from off camera. I'm like, okay. Then we went over there and they went on so long. And I was like, oh, this is so much different than what I thought it was.
Yep.
I thought this was an IGN news break where you pop up for 10 seconds,
Right.
say your paragraph, and you're out.
Yeah.
And it was
I was
instead
not
like,
prepared for that
here's
at all.
what the story is.
It's substantive.
Here's all the history on it.
Right.
Here's all this more information. And I was like, damn, that's cool. That's a lot. That's a deep dive that I was not expecting.
Yep, not at all. And we recorded lines with a bunch of Rooster Teeth people for Kind of Funny the Animated Series.
Oh, yes.
so
we did.
that was really exciting.
Which I'm gonna hit Drucker up after this. I'm gonna make him do lines too.
Yeah, please.
We're
We're gonna do
You
lines
don't have
together.
to make Drucker do lines.
Drucker and I
Yeah,
have done
do them
lines
gladly.
many
I would love
times
them.
together, but
I don't
usually
think
in
that
New
means
York
what you
at
think
3
it
o'clock in the
is.
morning. Wait, what are we talking about?
Cocaine.
Yeah, I do cocaine.
I do not. I wish I would not have this body if I did.
I would
I would
not
be
be able
so
to do
thin.
it. I would just be worried about all
I'm
the money
not
I was
suggesting
spending.
that for anyone. Put a warning on the screen. Don't do cocaine.
I say it all the time. They don't listen.
Am I allowed to
do
tell people to put
cocaine.
things on the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
of course.
sure.
Or
Okay.
just
I don't know
telling
how to do
Kevin.
that.
Someone put it on the screen,
He's my
please.
child.
Yeah.
Someone do something with the screen at some point.
Colin,
that
what
all?
did you think of it?
I think that was all.
that
we
was
were
all
on,
the
right?
shows. I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
What'd you say?
What did you think of it?
So I think that I was impressed. I thought it was really interesting. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where did he? So I think one of the weird things that people, or like kind of one of the strange things about me, I think, in being in this industry for so long is that like I'm just not a consumer of games media at all. Like I've always been a voracious consumer of games and game culture, but I don't listen to a single gaming podcast, and I never have. I don't watch any YouTube videos. I've never seen a Let's Play like before we started doing them. Like I just don't really care. And like I think that's not how I enjoy gaming.
Right.
And so I always thought like one of the interesting things that I think surprisingly worked from the outside is that I brought in different perspectives of what I thought these things should look like. So when we did Podcast Beyond, I just did Podcast Beyond thinking this is the way a PlayStation podcast goes or a video game podcast goes, not really knowing what a video game podcast was. And lo and behold, Podcast Beyond was huge. And then we do the same thing with Gamescast and with PS I Love You, which are both huge as well. So I think that works because I bring in a perspective. Like I'm more of a consumer of like sports miscellanea and like politics and academia, like, and like what are they doing and how can we bring that into games? So I say that just to set the stage, similar to our games trailers and with Brandon Jones, where where I was like, I just don't know this stuff at all, so I'm gonna sit back and listen and learn about this because I really don't know what this guy did and like what these guys did and how they made success. So the same thing was with Rooster Teeth, where I was like, well, I know these guys exist. I've not watched a single one of their shows. I know these names and stuff like that, like Achievement Hunter and Funhouse and stuff, but I'm not familiar with it. It's just not my thing. And what I learned was that, first of all, these guys this is a huge company, 162 employees, which is amazing. And
as of last week, they could have gotten like 20 more.
Right.
Yeah.
They're growing like crazy.
And
right now.
what I learned was that like I tweeted about this, and Rooster Teeth actually retweeted it, which I thought was cool, which was to say like it shows how humble our little operation is and how our ceiling can be very high as well. And it's exciting. It was exciting and interesting and kind of thought-provoking and educational to be there and see how these guys that like live and breathe this stuff within the bounds of this industry, as opposed to kind of like existing in it in the way I exist in it, which is more of like I love games, I play games, I know games, I'll put my gaming knowledge against anyone's, but I just don't consume peripheral games media the way other people do. Right. As opposed to these guys, which are kind of setting the trends of what games media is and doing all these kinds of things. And I was very impressed. Like I never want our company to look like theirs simply because they're way too big, like way bigger than I'd ever want to be. And they do like a lot of stuff that is peripheral, like even more to like what we do. So like I didn't even know what Ruby was until like I've seen that before. I didn't even know how to say it. RWBY, right. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. But like, that's like part of their bread and butter, man. Like now, like they have a fucking shit ton of animators just working on that series. Yeah. I had no idea it was even an anime. I like even when they said it, I was like, all right, so Ruby's like this little cute cartoon they do. I guess it's really popular. And then I was like, it's an anime. Like that's interesting. Okay, but, so like, and they do these like shows. Like I thought the $1 Million Butt, like that's like fucking funny, man.
$1 Million
That's $1 Million Butt. I was like, that's a really funny. Yeah. That's a really funny idea, or even knowing names and knowing faces like Meg Turney, like I knew that name, but I didn't even know she worked there. Like it was like fun. So like I'm very ignorant about a lot of this shit, and it was cool to just be quite enthralled with listening to that. I didn't do much talking when I was there. I just like listened and took it in and tried to learn a thing or two and tried to see how these guys that are just way better than we are doing this and way more experienced and way more seasoned, what they could teach us and what we can kind of garner from them to make our operation better and stuff. So as much as I think one of the great strengths of Kind of Funny, and from my perspective, is bringing in outside influences, Colin and Greg Live, of course, is always a great example of that, which is not inspired at all by anything gaming has ever done. At the same time, these guys have their own ideas on the flip side that are quite ingenious for being within the realm of gaming. And I thought it was fun to learn, and I thought that they were also super nice people, super down to earth people. I had not met. I know Bernie and a few of the other people there. Obviously, we know Ashley because we worked with her, but I didn't know these people. And I always thought they were quite friendly, quite accommodating, quite hospitable, quite successful,
quite good looking too.
Quite
That's
good
the
looking.
other thing that annoys me.
So
Despite from being,
yeah, you're good looking though, Nick.
Yeah, but here's the deal: you walk around
Show me
there,
ice cream
and it's
scoops.
all. I'm not going to
Show
you
me
any
ice cream scoopies.
You're just
Show 'em. And watch this, Drucker. Watch him flex it.
Jesus Christ!
Look at him. Look at my baby boy.
Oh yeah, you hate being asked that so much.
I'm sorry.
Don't make me show my muscles.
But I do want to say this real quick. Talking about Achievement Hunter specifically, I didn't know. I knew these guys were very, obviously because of their name suggests, very Xbox focused, very popular. Didn't really know their products, didn't really know them even by face until I had met them there, and I found those guys to be fucking hilarious. And like we didn't get to meet the Funhouse guys. I know you guys know them. I don't know them, but like I really liked them. Like I thought that they were super funny, and like my mind was bogged down as it always is with weird shit, and like you just kind of forget what's going on. I was hysterical, like laughing with them, like playing these games. Like that seemed like specifically a very fun group to work with. I think I agree. I think their Let's Plays just shit on our Let's Plays. Like in terms of like they really do. I'm just being honest. Like it's not even a fucking joke. It's like
very honest.
It's not even a joke though. It's like we have so much to learn from these people, and that's what I walked in there. It's nice to be able to walk in and just record something and leave and disappear. You know, like not have to worry about the technical shit. They're kind of somewhere in the middle because they do have syndicators, but like and people that worry about the minutia, but they still have to like kind of sync everything. So it's I don't know. I really liked them in particular. I think that they were really fucking funny, and I enjoyed those videos. I just think that, being so ignorant about the way games media is produced outside of what we've done, sometimes intentionally so, but sometimes because it just doesn't speak to me. And so like, I want to kind of be true to myself and bring in some other ideas that I think makes our stuff more dynamic. And I really do think that is a strength. It was cool to kind of be in a more endemic space with people that were doing games media and being like, wow, this is so kind of next level. Like this is kind of, this is, we talk about, do GameSpot and Kotaku and IGN and all these have a future anymore. And when I see, like a future in the way that they were when we were there and maybe now, and when I see this kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't know, man. Because I'm just being honest, I'm a writer like through and through. Like I don't want the written word to die. I don't want the traditional way to die, but it's just like, this is fucking huge. Like the warehouse space was impressive. The production was impressive, but it was really just the way things worked. And the symbiotic relationship between the moving parts. I thought it was, I learned a great deal. It was quite thought-provoking.
Yeah, with the Achievement Hunters specifically, like I really like that their whole thing is collaborative effort. And it's like they want to make sure that their Let's Plays, it's just about all of them being a part of it and all of them just having fun. We are way more educational. We're way more, what do we think about this video game? We're doing a Let's Play
Let me show you
right
something
now.
new.
3 out of the 4 of us
No,
are very
Your
educational.
Xenoblade Chronicles review was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but even
spot
if we're
on.
not reviewing things though, the way we play games, we're kind of like looking for the fun parts.
Sure.
We're trying to like,
We
at
put
least
up the Fallen Legion today, right? And it's me announcing that it's a Vita game. It's me trying to explain to you what's happening. It's you and me trying to understand how the systems work. It's not
Yeah.
us like just, hey, we're playing. Like, let's talk about
and even
stuff.
if we go
there's
in
value
blind,
to both.
No, for
Oh,
sure.
no, 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 no,
entirely,
yeah.
entirely. But it's a different thing. They're literally just using the games as an avenue to have fun.
Yeah, they're
And
entertaining.
exactly. They're just purely making entertainment. And what I really, really enjoyed about us being there and doing stuff with them, like all 4 of us just instantly got their vibe and just met them in the middle, and it worked. Like we found our place with them and also understood, all right, cool, this is their thing. We could do that too. Here's our version of that thing. And we could all work together. And I think that that's like a very powerful thing that you can't just drop anyone in with that group of guys and just have it like
Kevin
work
would have
off
been
the
eaten
bat.
alive.
He would have just been eaten alive.
He wouldn't know what to do over there.
No, Kevin would have fit right in because he's right in their perfect demographic of like 23 to 25 hardworking homeowners.
Those guys are, I don't know. I really liked them, and I liked everyone that we met. I thought, just being able to speak with Bernie again was really nice. He's a really ideas-driven dude, really smart, just fucking sharp. You know what I mean? And Lewis was really like. There was just a lot of really like. I just learned a lot. It was. If you go in with an open mind, it was similar to my experience at VidCon before we found it kind of funny, where I was just like, well, I don't know this space. I'm not even sure I really belong in this space sometimes. But here I am, and so I'm gonna learn something about it, and like, and so I did, and I think that it was cool. I was glad I went. I don't know how much, how often we'll go back and do more with them, but I'm eager to like peel the next layer back and kind of learn more about the way they do things and stuff like that. It's not a business that I want kind of funny to mirror personally down to the nitty gritty of what they do, because I think it's so far flung in ways that would just give me fucking agita if I had to deal with that as a
But you're doing that same thing you always do, where you're at the edge of this chasm, and like there's 10 years of history there. It wasn't that all of a sudden it went from being in Bernie's spare bedroom to, all right, we have 162 employees.
No,
and
of course
4
not.
hangars.
Of course not. But I do think that they're smart enough to invest in things that it's very similar to the animated series. Like we're doing something that's different. It's much cheaper than making Ruby. And much less popular. Who knows if it will be popular one day?
Very true.
But it's interesting that it seems like that's actually maybe even more important than anything else they do. In terms of their capital investment, in terms of the people they employ, like the space that's taken up, the mind share of that of Ruby just being everywhere, the way they talk about it, pictures everywhere. I'm like, this is interesting because this is not the way they were founded. It's not what they were founded to do. Right? I don't know that they did Red versus
it kind
Blue
of
and
was
stuff like
though.
that.
I mean, that's the thing is like they were made to make animated, whether it's machinima or not.
Right.
Like Red vs. Blue was animated before Ruby was the thing. And I think Ruby was the natural progression of, all right, we will never own the Halo characters. Like they license the rights to use them. So they do legally own the ability to use the Halo characters.
Right.
But with Ruby, from top to bottom, that's theirs. And so I think that was the nice natural progression for them. But yeah, that Ruby didn't happen until 8 years, no more than that, like 10,
It's pretty recent.
10 or 11 years into them existing.
Yeah, and I do think that I didn't realize that the gentleman that passed away, Monty,
Owen,
he was
yeah.
the one that came up with it. That was
Yeah,
his show.
so they hired-
it's just the tendrils, the way things connect. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, so they hired him so he did all like Metroid or not Metroid, Haloid and all the like just random the Dead Fantasy like fighting videos. And Bernie was like, "Fuck, we need this shit. Like this is awesome." So they hired him on for season 8 of Red vs. Blue, and he kind of gave Red vs. Blue a kick in the ass of like, you guys know it is just two dudes talking back and forth and just like moving video games. Monty came in and animated fight scenes and made them fucking crazy over the top things. So Red vs. Blue season 8, 9, 10 was that. And then Monty was like, he pitched him on an anime, which was Ruby. And they're like, let's do this. Because, now that kick in the ass Red vs. Blue got, it needs another kick in the ass to keep it more relevant. And so then they did other stuff. But Ruby was really like, it just kicked it off for them. And that launched their entire animation division. It's not just Ruby. They have a show called X-Ray and Vav, which is a comedy superhero show. And then they have Animated Adventures, which is just their like podcast moments animated and stuff. But like that whole animated section, it's not just Ruby. Like they're working on like 6 shows. And plus there's other stuff that's not announced yet that I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's cool. It was a very like I said, a very being so ignorant of what they do. I couldn't be any more ignorant about what they did before I went there. So it's not like it's not like I knew anything because I really didn't. But it's eye opening. Like that, I understand more why people like this kind of stuff. Like we always said, like with Let's Plays. I think Greg and I even talked about it candidly on PS I Love You and other places before, which is like I don't understand why anyone would watch a Let's Play. Like, and I've said that a million times. Like it's just like like I would rather just like play a game or watch game unfettered gameplay. But there's this subculture, not even a subculture, it's a massive culture of gaming that does like watching this shit. And it wasn't until I never really watched a PewDiePie video. I have no idea what the fuck he does. But when I did with Chibinar, I'm like, oh, this is fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I watch
sheer
like Angry
entertainment.
Nintendo Nerd
Yeah.
or whatever, Angry Video Game or whatever his name is, and like that stuff's funny, but that's kind of different. That's also like kind of really
That's
like
a feature more than anything.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
like pre-Let's Play almost. Like I remember watching that in college, I think. So I think that's old, but so it's like I understand some of like more the educational thing or more the sarcastic thing or the whatever satirical thing, but yeah, things started to click with me more. I'm like, I get it. Like it's I don't mean to be closed-minded about it. It's just things that, and I don't know if that I even am being. It's just a matter of what interests me, and like I'm impressed with the way I think ESPN does really impressive stuff, and so like I want us to more like look like that. But then I realize like, well, these guys are doing shit that looks like that too.
Right.
So it's like
I mean, it goes to the core of how they started, right? And when you have the IGNs, the GameSpots, I mean, those are media outlets. Those are for first and foremost information. Where these guys started, where I think was the harder road, but proving I think to be much more I don't know if sustainable, but potentially more lucrative, is that they started out by making an entertainment product,
Right.
and started out by entertaining people first and foremost, which is always sort of the line I feel like we skate here a little bit, because we are sort of a hybrid of that model. We do come from IGN, but at the same time, most of the stuff we do here is for the sheer entertainment value of it, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of the PS I Love Yous, and well, I guess this podcast notwithstanding, all of our podcasts are kind of more of an IGN style project.
No, I wouldn't
product.
even say that. I
Would you?
think PS I Love You, I think, is the only thing.
So
and
yeah.
Colin and Greg Live, kinda.
No,
It
it started
but
off
even then,
that
though,
way, and now it's just pure shenanigans.
But
so let's do
Gamescast is not really
That's true.
talking about news.
that. Yeah, but then
specifically.
like when we go
But
into
it
the
is.
Let's
It's
Play,
talking about big topics or whatever that's
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
It all goes
guess.
back to, I mean, like to what Colin's saying of not understanding what a Let's Play would be, so he didn't know, right? Like my whole career and what I do and what this has become in a lot of ways, right, has always been that I'm the best friend on the couch in the basement talking to you about games, right? And when I'm talking to you about games, I'm specifically talking about when I was telling Poe why Spider-Man on PlayStation 1 was so good, right? And that's what my Let's Plays are too, right? I'm showing you the Fallen Legion because it's this new Vita game and this is why it's cool. You know what I mean? And that's why it's cool to go to Achievement Hunter and see them do it in a different way, where it's what we used to do, where it was a tower fall out in the living room, we're all being a bunch of assholes or whatever, or even the hot pepper challenge. You know what I mean? We are experimenting with that, but we're so far to the other side, whereas they don't ever come to our side and do that, where it's like, hey, we're playing Far Cry Primal for the first time. Let's talk about all that's happening.
Well, see, that's what's interesting for us is that they have the know, which Ashley started when she left IGN and went over there. And before that, they had nothing that was like IGN or GameSpot. There was no video game news. They had no product that even did that at all. I mean, the patch existed, but it was still in its early days. And then once the no came, that's now they're really, and now Funhouse as well. Like Funhouse is kind of us on the other side, where they do have that kind of game critic journalism mind, but they're also like, we're not critics or journalists, and they make entertainment. So it's just weird, but it's cool because all of that can coexist, and simultaneously next door they're making movies and TV shows and you know, HBO quality stuff, and that's fucking crazy.
It's nuts.
And like that's the whole thing too, is their whole subscription model and their plans for the future, like what they see the internet becoming. It's not just, oh, Laser Team was a movie we made, we're gonna make more movies. It's we're making movies, but we're also doing daily live shows that are all different with different sets and different experiences. We're also doing all the gameplay videos, you know. There's animated shows, there's comedies, there's dramas, there's this. It's like they're becoming, it's not just like, oh, they do comedy and stuff. They're like a TV channel that has all types of different programming.
Oh no, see that's why I liken them more. Not even a channel, not even a network, right? They're more like a studio. They're more like hey, we're developing everything, and even coming in and like bringing people like us in to collaborate with them and stuff like that is very much studio minded. Of saying like, oh, let's reach out to outside talent, bring them in, have them on our products and stuff like that. But you know, and being able to cross those lines like that. It is crazy. It's crazy to think where they're at now and where they might be 5 years from now.
Yeah, and I think that the thing to keep in mind is that people hear this like, oh, they're getting too big. They're getting too big. And it's like they're doing too much. It's not the same guys making movies that it is playing games, that it is, you know, making cartoons. Like they have teams, and when you see it, it's even in the buildings, it's separated. Like the live action team and the animation team are in completely different buildings.
Right. Yeah. And to Colin's earlier point, like, yeah, you know, I kind of agree that looking at that size of a company right now is daunting given where we're at. But you have to also remember that the founders have gone and now kind of are taking care of just their own little slice of whatever they wrote their own check as far as what they wanted to be able to do. So Bernie takes care of a lot of the live action development. Gus is doing a lot of the events and things like that. And they don't really, it doesn't seem like they interact too much unless they absolutely like their paths cross or they aren't to be on a show together. But so that's the cool thing, is they've been able to gravitate toward what their strengths and their passions are. And you know, Jeff's obviously strength was passion was Achievement Hunter, so he gets to just sit around in that room all day and crack jokes and fuck around with the guys, and and that was a blast. And it was a very
you can kind of see how Kind of Funny can evolve that way too. You know, it's like with you and like Greg doing the more like video gamey stuff, me and Nick doing the more comedy stuff, and then collaborating whenever it makes sense, because there is a Venn diagram, and it's not exclusively this or that, but it is just growing in different ways, and I think that's a very cool future that I'm excited for.
Yeah, I think a more immediate takeaways would be like, you know, it was cool to see them have a space, and like the ease in which talent, and I hate calling myself that because I think it's a fucking shitty word, but the so-called talent of
it's definitely a loaded word, that's for sure.
The so-called talent, like being able to just kind of come on, have a free and clear head to do what you need to do and just walk away, is like really cool. And I don't say that as like trying to be lazy. I say that as like it's exhausting talking about games and talking about anything, you know. But what I like it just to be on and like have your mind right and not have to worry about the setup and blah 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 blah, and like you guys have to edit and all that, you know, it's like a fucking pain in the ass. So like I took that away, but I also just that like punditry is like way more universal than I think I gave it credit for, and like the you know, the way people talk about games in a real deep way is very similar way to, you know, the way they talk about politics on YouTube or on MSNBC or Fox News, in the same way that ESPN or Fox News or whatever Deadspin talks about sports. So there's a lot of cross-pollination happening there already. I'm surprised. I'm still surprised that like some ideas haven't been stumbled upon more from these other spaces that I think are so obvious, which is why I love Colin and Greg so much, even though it's something we don't like put a super amount of effort into. Like it's still a fun and silly show that, you know, that I actually think out of everything we do has the most growth potential. So it's like it's cool to see like people spreading their wings and like kind of doing those kinds of things. I found it quite inspirational to be there. Yeah.
Nick,
Yes.
what's your topic?
All right.
My topic is Batman. This week's
Ah,
Batman. I don't know if you guys are familiar
Mike
with
Drucker,
this.
have you ever heard of Batman?
Batman? Am I pronouncing that right?
I believe so, yes.
Batman?
There was a quote going around that Christian Bale said last week that I believe originated on Yahoo. I'm not quite sure. I'm on IO9 right here. You can check it out on IO9, but I think they link back to that Yahoo, where he says, quote, basically Christian Bale says he didn't quite nail Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Okay.
Are you guys familiar with this at all?
Yes, I remember the Dark Knight trilogy.
Are you
What
familiar
is
with
his
Christian Bale?
argument against himself?
Let's
Like, what is he?
Mr.
Here,
Bale,
well, I
please
don't-
present
well-
your evidence against yourself.
The article reads, while out on a publicity for the latest movie, The Knights of Cups, Christian Bale has expressed some second thoughts about his portrayal of Bruce Wayne / Batman for Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy. When interviewed for Yahoo Movies, Bale noted that he didn't quite capture the extent to which Bruce Wayne was messed up. This isn't the first time that Bale has said that he's slightly jealous of Ben Affleck's opportunity to play the character in this month's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Quote, Batman, he's this very, very dark, messed up character. I found when I put on the suit, I feel like a bloody idiot if I didn't use this as a means of his true monstrous self that he allows to come out in the moment. He went on to note that Heath Ledger completely upended all the plans when it came out to upended all of his plans when it came to portraying the character. That's not really all that much of a surprise given how much of a messed up character the Joker is. Looking back, Bale noted that he didn't quite accomplish what he wanted to with the character, but ruled out ever reprising the character. Again, enough's enough. We did our thing. Quote.
Well, I'd say that Batman's always upset with how he did his Batman, so that makes him a good Batman because he's upset with how he did his Batman.
Nailed it, Christian Bale.
Do you know what I mean? Like in comics, Batman's always like, "You idiot! You could have done this better." So
Yeah.
being upset with how you did his Batman is very Batman.
I don't know where this pull quote came from, but he says Heath turned up and just kind of completely ruined all my plans because I'm like, he's so much more interesting than me. What am I doing?
Yeah. And that's from the article. They
Is
just
that
put it
from-
in a weird spot.
Oh, I see. Okay,
They just-
got
they-
it.
I don't know, I
sorry.
broke it out in a weird
That's
font
wild.
thing for you.
So I guess that is the quote of in question.
I mean, it's definitely not a new argument, I don't think, right? And
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear him say it. He says, he turned up and ruined everything. I think most of the time when you talk about, like, when people talk about The Dark Knight in particular, right, of like, I think that's the best one of the trilogy, right? And of course, people who want to say it isn't,
Colin,
sit
you wanna
there
weigh
and
in
be
on
like,
that?
it's just because it's a Joker movie. It's not a Batman movie, right? And even going forward, it's like, well, yeah, the interesting parts are usually the other characters.
Well, and that's also is trying to go for a more realistic Batman. The problem with going for a more realistic Batman is you can't have this like, you can't have sort of, if you like Zack Snyder or not, Zack Snyder's going to do a more comic booky Batman. If you're trying to be realistic, you can't just be an asshole and break people's wrists every scene because that's not what would happen in real life.
Yeah.
I think he did fine as Batman. I didn't hate his Batman.
No.
I didn't like the third Batman movie, but that was a
Yeah,
whole
you
mess.
didn't. Huh?
Okay.
Look
what's
at
that?
this
Oh,
guy
are we
right
friends on that?
here. Yeah.
Is that an
winner.
unpopular opinion? I've
This
just joined you
motherfucker
on?
over here thinks it's the best one.
I don't think it's the best
God
one,
da-
but I definitely
you
don't
do.
think
I
it's
was gonna
bad.
say,
No,
God
no,
damn
no,
it,
Colin for sure.
No, Colin does.
Colin is
Yeah,
the leader
Colin
of the
loves
Dark
it.
Knight Rises camp.
I don't know. You guys.
Yes, brother.
Yes, brother. To be fair, we don't know if Colin is just fucking with Greg the entire time, and Colin will never tell us, so it doesn't really matter. So it's not even worth speculating.
But I mean, that's such an old argument. But the point being, I don't think he was a bad Batman.
No, I don't think he's bad. No.
No. Like, I think he did. I mean, I agree that Heath Ledger outshone him in that movie, but at the same time, he was so great as the Joker. I think any Batman would have been, second banana to that Joker.
Do you feel like I mean, obviously, this is a fairly recent quote. I guess it came from Sunday. But do you feel like he's looking now at the trailers of what Snyder and the team are accomplishing and seeing that Batman and seeing that character? Do you think maybe he's like, maybe that would have been a better way to play it?
I don't think so.
I
I think
No.
he's seeing a more fleshed out Batman. Like
Sure,
think about it that way. What you're getting with Ben Affleck, at least just from the trailers, right, is a Batman with motivation. And since he has this motivation, he has this justification to brand people with his bat, right? And fucking like you saw the fight scene, from that one trailer, like to be the Batman from the comics / video games you think about when you're Batman.
Sure.
Whereas like when you think back to Begins was fun because it was like all new and what's happening. He's dropping from, but he's even like the League of Shadows stuff they were doing, right? Some you see so much of that now with Arrow or whatever, and I'm not saying those fight scenes are better, but they're different, right? And it's not unique anymore. Batman Begins at the time was unique because remember, this was the first time Batman could turn his fucking head.
Yes.
Right? And it's not just have the cowl like this or whatever.
Right.
He was fluid, he was moving. It was all of a sudden this brand new fighting style.
I think there's also a lot to be said about professional humility, where even if you think you did well, you're like, oh, I'm, being polite to the next person in the role. I'm not trying, someone's like, do you think you were a better Batman than he will be? And you're like, of course not. Even if you think it, you're going to be professionally humble.
Sure.
That's not necessarily the case, but I also want to, put out, it's not like Christian Bale being like, I fucked up. This is terrible. It might just be him being like, I believe this will be a good movie, and I still want to have friendly relationships with all these people, so
Right.
go see the movie.
Got to see him at the Academy Awards and whatnot. That that probably makes more sense than
You
when
know?
you put it in that context and that light of him saying, look, there's always obviously more than one way to play every role.
What's
Character
interesting
like
is him
Batman.
saying that, you know, he wanted to do more of the dark stuff, right? And how messed up Bruce Wayne
Yeah.
should be and Batman should be. And that's the thought of where I think he says that, you know, Heath upended his plans, right? You imagine his plans were to try to show that a little bit more in the films, but you get there and Heath Ledger's Joker is so dark.
Yeah.
You can't go that way. I don't think you can get down into the mud and be the Batman we know from the comics who calls himself Batman. You know what I mean? He isn't Bruce Wayne. He's Batman, and that's what's happening in his head.
Yeah, I mean, you have those scenes where he have those intense moments where you know you see Batman screaming at someone or interrogating someone or throwing people off a freaking roof and things like that. And it just you're right though. It doesn't have even half the intensity of like any Joker scene.
Sure.
Like, anytime Joker's there, you're like the level of tension just rises to about 90%. So it must be interesting to go back and look at that because again, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
When I think Batman Begins, when I think Dark Knight, I'm like, those are phenomenal movies. I can't imagine they would be any different. I can't imagine plugging anyone in there.
And as much as I'm excited for Ben Affleck's Batman, I'm less excited for, Jared Leto's fucking Joker. Like, I mean, you have to. You're comparing yourself to Heath Ledger's Joker is comparing yourself to the greatest movie supervillain of all time.
Right.
You're never gonna win. Like, let's see how do you think Christian Bale's Batman would do against like Leto's Joker, which looks terrible? He just looks like an asshole. Like he doesn't look. He looks scary in the way like seeing a teenager in the middle of the night. You're like, I'm not a teenager anymore. He might attack me. Is scary,
Right.
but like he doesn't look like a supervillain. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
We're like, oh no, it's a youth. Like, and you're scared of that. But I'm not fucking scared of him on some global scale the way I'm
Right.
Heath Ledger's Joker.
Right. I mean, for me, the verdict's still out on that one. We have to.
Yeah, we have to see
have to come
Suicide
see.
Squad or whatever.
Do you buy into the theory? I forget, what's your comic acumen? You a big comic fan?
I like how, yeah.
Do you buy into this theory that it might be Jason Todd?
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I don't love Zack Snyder, I should say.
No, that's fine.
So, I mean, I know that Suicide Squad is not his movie, but I
Yeah.
just don't know what hand he had in it and what he's going to paint it as.
Sure.
Sure, it could be, but I don't know yet.
That's
Like,
my whole thing with the Jared Leto being Jason Todd and that being him.
I mean, I know
being
there's like
Joker.
the Robin suit with like bullet holes in it
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
or
jokes
whatever.
on you or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to dodge not being compared to Heath Ledger.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
That you're not the Joker. There was a Joker
Yeah.
and he got killed, but he had already tortured me and made
I
me
hope
like,
that's it, man. That sounds so great to me.
if they
and, like,
do
such
that,
a
I mean,
good
that'll be like such a holy shit. Are you committed to this cinematic universe?
Sure.
That you're just gonna put into a movie that the Jason Todd's Joker, and
Right.
we want you to figure
And
that
the
out.
Joker's gone and dead.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not coming back.
And that way, in Justice League, you can bring him back, and we'll be like, "What?"
Well, he's not
Jack
necessarily
Nicholson,
dead,
we're like,
though.
"What?"
And it's Heath Ledger. You're like, whoa, the long game on that one.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. They really kind of pulled that out of their pocket. I just made a Heath Ledger death joke. I apologize, everyone.
It's not your first one. It won't be your last one.
I just don't understand his line of thinking, just in the sense that Batman to me has never been about Batman, really. I mean,
Right.
ever since '89 Batman, like I just don't feel like. I mean, yeah, Batman was a central character to Batman. It's not a huge surprise there, but it always seemed to me that it was about these ancillary characters, these villains. I mean,
Sure,
that
you
was
get
what was
excited
always-
for the villains, right?
Yeah, always. I mean, it was the Joker in '89 Batman Returns. You have the Penguin, like, and then you get into the shitty fucking Schumacher ones and all that kind of stuff. But the villains were still, I think, even more in those than the other ones were the draw because they fit like Freeze and Riddler and all these like kind of
Yeah.
fit in this over the top campy ass fucking Batman. They did it, but like it does. I actually kind of agree with what Drucker's assertion that this seems to be maybe a humility kind of nod in the sense that like there is no prayer that this movie is anywhere near the Nolan movies in terms of quality.
Sure.
So it's like.
Right.
Like not even a fucking prayer that's gonna happen. So like you're fine, and you're always gonna be looked at as being the Supreme Batman from the Supreme Batman movies, and that's not gonna change. So like I don't understand
But
why.
see, that's
I don't
the
know if
argument.
he's-
See, that's
yeah.
the thing is I'm with you that the Nolan movies are on another level because they were going for something different. But I think when you think back to the Nolan Batman films, you're gonna think back to Heath Ledger.
Sure.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's the
is
thing. I don't
being
think people
said.
look at him as the Supreme Batman. He was definitely in the Supreme Batman films.
I think about Tom Hardy personally.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes,
But I don't think he did a bad job at all. It never bothered me.
That's the plan. All right, that's your choice. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
No, I mean that's my thing though, and that maybe that's a good way to kind of frame this is when you actually think about the ranked order of Batmans. What would be grammatical correct?
It would be Batman's. 'cause
I
it's a-
would
it's
say-
a proper noun in it, right?
Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy, is that the name? The
Yeah.
voice
I'll
actor from the
allow it.
animated
Yes,
series.
I'll allow
Yeah,
that.
you have to allow it.
Giant jump down. I don't know. after that, it's sort of
I gotta
I
go.
mean, I give it to
gotta go
Bale
Keaton.
by default.
No, I
Yeah.
gotta go Keaton
The
first.
Keaton for
Keaton
sure.
thing,
Keaton's
I'll
good,
never
yeah.
understand this Keaton thing, man.
He's really good.
I guess he's like that. Those movies are really cool, really great. That's not Batman. If that's Batman, that's like it's the cartoony, like not even animated series, like cartoony Batman.
Oh, it was.
And like
It
that's
was- it's just
fine.
very
That's
Tim Burton.
cool.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
don't know. When I think Batman, I think Dark Knight Returns Batman, or at least like darker Batman.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just different eras of it. Like when I think Batman in the 1989, I lump that in with the whole series of movies. Like that includes Beetlejuice, where you're like, these are just really kind of creative, almost asinine, ridiculous versions of these. But there was an underlying fucked up creepiness to all of those films. Like you go back and watch Beetlejuice, and you're like, there's some dark shit in this.
Yeah.
This is not a kid's movie, and the 89 Batman came off like a kid's movie, but you've got the Joker doing some fucked up shit in that. And Jack Nicholson was pretty terrifying. Not on the level of Heath Ledger, but he wasn't. I don't think he was trying to play the character that way.
I don't think he was a bad Joker. Like that.
No,
was
no,
the
I
great
think he's a
Joker.
good Joker. Yeah.
Batman Returns is just full of sexual innuendo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
Batman
love
Returns is a
Returns.
crazy
Oh,
movie.
Jesus.
Returns is fucking awesome.
Returns is it's a beautiful movie. But those
Penguins
were
with little rockets on them. Hell yeah.
that was weird. But that's what I'm saying is like that's
That's
straight out of a
Burton.
comic book, right?
Yeah,
that's
that's 100
straight
Bears
out of a
in San
comic book.
Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. Did you think of a name for that villain yet?
No, it's me.
The bear.
What would your villain be? Gruesome Greggy?
Let me work on it. I'll get back to you.
Greg Man?
No,
Gregman.
Gregman.
Sonic
There we go.
Greg. Sonic
Son of
Greg.
Greg.
Son of Greg.
I don't know, man. Figure it out.
I will.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably agree with that assessment. Conroy's first.
Conroy's first.
Conroy's got to be first.
I would put probably Keaton, and then you got to give a nod to
Bale.
Bale after that. Yeah.
I say Bale's before.
Bale, then maybe Adam West. and the
Actually,
rest
it's
of
one of
them.
those it's the normal Colin argument of like, what's the criteria?
Yeah.
I guess. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. Because I think that Bale does so much right in terms of like Batman, in terms of movement, in terms of this. You know what I
In
mean?
terms of Bruce Wayne
Physique.
too.
But that's my thing, though.
But
I
Bruce
would
Wayne's the
disagree with
easiest
that.
thing
But
to
he's
Neo.
not, because Michael Keaton was a weirdo.
No,
He was
but that's-
great!
But that's the whole
He
point. Is like. Sorry, can you take this one?
I mean, like I don't understand. Like if Bruce Wayne summed up as that party when he walks in on him, and they're like it's Knox and Vicky Vale.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like
I-
they're arguing about where this is from. And he's like China. Like how do you know? That's where I bought it. You know what I mean? And he's like, hi, Bruce Wayne. Like that's a good Bruce Wayne. Don't get me wrong, it's
Yeah,
not
I don't
comics. I'm gonna go out and act drunk and go into the pool and buy the hotel shit. Like,
Which
that
to
was
me, like I
cool.
guess that's my
that
thing.
was
It's
cool.
like that's
Yeah, but
I
that,
like
that
that.
never came off. That came off as weird to me. Like that never came off like he was selling that. That came off like, and part of it is because as the audience, you're behind the curtain, you see why he's doing it and you understand his motivations.
Sure.
But like to me, I loved when Keaton he played the bumbling sort of like, he wasn't the playboy. He was more of like, I don't really know what's happening all the
Sure,
time.
yeah.
I'm kind of just stumbling through life here and there. But then when he'd have those one or two interactions with like Max Shrek, and you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, these guys are both really sharp. And they're both coming at this, and this is both just their facade that's like hitting right now. But they're both kind of like on different sides of the same fucked up dark coin.
I'm with you that like Bale's Bruce Wayne Batman is way more canon than the Keaton stuff.
I guess
right?
that's
Of,
my
like,
thing.
Where
Like,
the fuck's
that's-
the money
that's
coming
it.
from for the Wayne?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's never any Wayne Tech or Lucius Fox or anything like that, right? It's just like I have a really big house and this table I don't use.
He's a millionaire.
Wayne
Enterprises.
Alfred's lived with me forever, but he's got to wear this fucking tuxedo every day.
He likes the tuxedo. We've asked him to change. He doesn't want to
And
change.
he has a bunch of them. It's not the same tuxedo. He owns more than one.
but it is the same one.
It's the
He
same
just
one.
owns
It's the
multiple
same
style.
brand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
style for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think back about that, but I have such conflicting thoughts of the Dark Knight trilogy because so much of it is right, and I think that's just what I always feel when I start to deep dive on Christopher Nolan is that there's so much of it that I love and that is right, and then there's just so much of it that you're like, there is a little stuff that's off about it. And for
Yeah,
me-
but that's comic book movies.
that's movies. That's anything.
No, just comic books.
No, it's
Fast and the
anything.
Furious is airtight, Tim.
I can't even admit to that. Like that's
yeah, Fast and Furious is more like a submarine with a fucking screen door. But
Whoa.
what? Well, see, that's a joke I stole. I don't even know where I got that from.
Back to
but
the Future.
I stole that joke. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going way
That's
back
about as
with that.
funny
It is
as
way
a
back to the future.
submarine.
Nick.
Wait, no, yeah.
I-
But Battleship with a screen though.
I don't know. Like I'm becoming more and more intrigued by if this Batman, like how this Batman versus Superman movie is going to be. I think this movie is going to be no better than good, but like I think it's going to be good. But I don't know that Affleck's going to be the takeaway from it. I think the takeaway is probably going to be that this might be the first Superman movie that's actually worth anything since Reed.
No, because
Yeah.
even if it is good, because
is
if
not
the
gonna be a
movie's
Superman
good,
movie.
it's going to be counted as good because of Batman.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Then it's a lose-lose for DC
It
and
is.
for Superman.
I mean, they put
Yep.
so much money into this too. I wonder how they're going to do financially with this. It's $250 million before marketing.
Oh fuck.
But somebody put it up the numbers recently of what it's projected to make, and it was projected to kick some fucking skull in.
Yeah.
It'll make. I mean, it'll
It'll make
that's
money
the
back,
fact
but
that
it's-
it'll
I think
I'm
the writing's
fascinated
on
by
the
it.
wall, right? And the fact that they've already greenlit the solo Batman film to follow, and then
Yeah.
there's all these other movies that aren't Superman movies.
Yeah,
it's
but
Justice
they-
League, it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and they're
They
shoving
they
it all.
greenlit
That's
the second.
that's gonna be the
Fantastic
problem with this
Four.
movie is they're
No, but they stopped on that.
they're
Oh, I
putting
see.
so
I
much
see.
shit into this movie, man.
Right. Like if they hammer in too much of the Justice League, it's gonna be like, okay, fucking, they're Cyborg, yay. Like,
I think he'll just be in the background.
yeah,
I
he'll
think.
just
I think
like,
when
hey, welcome
Hey,
to
guys.
Justice League. Like, how do you incorporate like 8 dudes with superpowers?
this, I have a whole theory. I can
We'll
bore
link
with it
you.
later.
All right,
link
yeah,
you
you
with
can.
the
I'll watch the
Don't worry.
video.
Don't worry. Give me the
Yeah.
view, all right?
All right, I'll give you that view, and I'll watch your ad.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
like you don't-
Speaking of ads, Greg Way, guys, everybody good knows good things comes in sets of 3. What does that have to do with anything? Well, get this. March is the 3rd month of the year, and it also happens to be our friends over at Harry's 3rd year anniversary as a business. And if you're new to Harry's, I've got a special deal for you to try 3 of their expertly crafted 5-blade German razors, a handle and shave cream for just $10. We're gonna shave this off with it.
Just the right side of my beard.
Just the right side.
Fine,
so
I'm
nobody will
done.
ever see. You're okay with that?
yeah.
Kevin, go get me the Harry rate. No,
There
don't
you
do
go.
it.
Done.
Harry's doesn't like discounts because their prices are already so low. But we've worked out a special offer for you guys, and this is the all caps portion, so guard your ears. Harry's will give you $5 off your first order with promo code Kinda Funny. That's all one word. Stop overpaying for a great shave. Go to harrys.com right now. That's HARRYS.com. Enter code Kinda Funny, all one word, at checkout. Colin,
Yes.
you're the final topic, and you have the Patreon producer, John Demos, to thank for that.
Thank
John
you for that.
Stamos gave us a
This is
a question.
Wait, so we
fourth
are
week for John
doing my
Demos.
topic. I didn't think we were doing my topic.
We are doing your
Oh,
topic.
okay, cool. So I was thinking about, we talked about this a little bit about at lunch. Weird pet peeves. Now I know we've talked
More
about
pet peeves.
So we talked about pet peeves in the past, and I think that people have their pet peeves, right? Like I've talked about how like people getting up on the airplane and like running down the aisle to try to like skip 5 rows when we're
Fucking
getting
hate that. Did
I,
you notice
I
that? Jim-
actually want to fucking like straight
you-
murder
you
those
weren't
people.
on our flight on the way back.
No, I went to straight to San
It was
Diego.
the first flight I've ever taken where that didn't happen. Did you notice that?
No, I don't pay attention.
We were all just sitting there, and I turned around, and everyone was waiting for their time to get up and go down the aisle, which normally it's not.
Yeah,
There's always that one motherfucker by the bath in the back that just jets to see how far he
Not
can get.
one. It's like
And then they stop.
13 of
It's
them.
also always like an old lady. Like
Yeah.
like you're always supposed to be polite to old ladies. The rudest people in the world are
They
old
are.
ladies.
They know they can get away with it.
They've lived through a lot, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they got through Nam, but like, they're still like.
Were they serving?
They were fighting the Viet Cong out now.
I always feel like the women pushing me out. I mean, not the women, people pushing me out of the way. It's always like an old woman who has like a giant suitcase who's just like, I'm fucking out of here. I got less time left in my life. I'm moving.
Yeah, you can't trip them either because then you just go to jail.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So, but like I'm trying to think of, you know, like so we're talking about like how I hate loud eating, loud swallowing. That shit annoys the shit out of me. But that's ubiquitous. Like I don't care where we are, what we're doing. If you're swallowing loud, I'm gonna fucking punch you in your throat. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that shit. I want to hear it. It's enough. You're not hearing me. I know for a fact you don't hear me, and I know for a fact
But
you
you're
don't hear me swallow.
you're seeing Nick and thinking of Drucker as you
As
smell
I'm
Greg.
smelling Greg
Yeah.
and summoning forth
Touching
Kevin.
Were you listening at lunch when Drucker was talking about the opposite of that? Apparently,
ASMR.
Drucker always opens up my eyes to all sorts of
That
crazy
people
stuff
like
that
some,
I can.
some people like that shit.
Yeah, I guess people do like that
Some
stuff.
it's called ASMR, I guess. Where
that-
it's like
yeah, I mean, it's all
videos
on-
of people chewing or opening like not like unboxing videos, like just the sound of a box opening. People like
So they're actual unboxing videos.
but just for
Literally.
the sound of
Right.
it.
So let me give you a few examples
twisted.
of what I'm talking about. All right. So
Yeah.
like I think I'm going a little deeper with the pet peeves. One of my major pet peeves is on the TSA line when you have the person in front of you that's never flown before.
Wait,
Like-
you mean I can't take this water
Like
through?
it's all right. I understand 9/11 changed everything, right? You know, it's a terrible thing.
I thought
but-
that was PlayStation Move.
PlayStation Move also changed. PlayStation Move in many ways was worse than 9/11.
Never forget PlayStation Move.
Good lord.
Please pull
My
that
dad was
quote.
New York City firefighter. I can make jokes about 9/11.
Not sure that's how that works.
He was
Show
there.
him the-
He was there. I can make jokes about
Do you want me to
9/11.
go get the sweatpants?
He
That's
does
why I have an FDNY sticker on my lid of my laptop. I can make 9/11 jokes. But
It's the only reason he has the sticker.
but the TSA, like, have you met this person that just has no idea what
Yeah,
they're doing on
yeah.
the TSA
Oh,
line,
yeah.
as if they've never even? It's all right. You don't fly. That's fine. I don't know how you live in the United States and don't fly at least once every few years since it's a fucking massive country. But okay, you stay in your little geographic area, but you've never been exposed to this on TV or a comedy sketch or something like.
You haven't read any of the signs?
Like,
You passed?
oh, I got to take my shoes off, and then they walk back through the machine. Oh, I got to take my jewelry off. Oh, sir, you have your wallet in your pocket. Sir,
Hey,
you
to
have
be
your
fair,
fucking
they
belt
don't do
on.
any. They don't do any favors nowadays though, because there's so much different things. It's like we go to airports and there's a dog, and I'm like, okay, I'm not trained for this dog. I don't know what the fuck
dog
I'm-
was awesome.
Do I just? And the guy's like, just walk by. Don't touch the dog. Don't touch the dog. And it's like everyone's trying to pet the dog. It's a fucking dog. That's what people fucking do.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, people have this
Not
general.
a police dog.
Any
It's still
dog.
hey, when he takes off that badge and gun, he's still a dog. Okay.
But so these dogs, it's like, all right, so now do I have to take? And they're like, no, you don't need to take off your shoes. You don't need to take off your shoes. Then you go through and like, you didn't take off your watch. No, like I thought.
Oh
that
yeah, the watch
shoes
gets me
thing-
every once in a while because some like half the.
It's because they make it up.
They
They
It's all
make
made up. It's all made
the
up. Okay, so the
rules.
laptop
Put
needs
it-
to go
yeah.
in a separate thing.
No, it
If
doesn't.
you have
Just put it in.
if you have a tablet, it's fine. But a large tablet, I'm like, okay, so where there's now 3 iPads. Which one is which? Which with the iPad in the middle, is that large or is that small? I don't fucking know.
Like much of the federal government, these people are just trying to justify their existence at this point.
And that leads me to another pet peeve with a TSA. When there's the person there that is trying as loudly as possible to tell you all the rules
Oh, yeah.
as you're coming up, but you only catch maybe a quarter of them.
Belts a wallet off, everybody. He's like, all right,
Like
we
the guy-
know.
yeah, you're like, oh my God. And the guy's like, he's not paying attention to you. You're not paying attention to him, but he's only adding to your anxiety of the whole affair because he's just loudly saying something that you know, but then you're like, should I be paying attention to this fucking
Right.
guy? Maybe he's saying something that I should say, but I only caught half of it, and I'm not going to fucking hit that button on my remote that makes him go back. It's not going to happen.
they start
you-
doing that bullshit too, where they start to try to be cute and fun. So
Oh, yeah.
it's like whatever.
They're like
So
Southwest flight attendants.
They start fucking rhyming everything. It's like you're at In-N-Out and it's just like number 3, your food's ready and shit like that. But they'll be all like,
I really hope they try
they
harder.
start doing that. No, but they don't. They never try harder. So
Number
they start
7,
being
you're
all
in heaven.
cute with the like, take off your shoes, and I don't have
This
a rhyme
is
for
this
it ready.
is only
but-
vaguely related, but I realized I was an adult when I was attracted to my first TSA agent. Like I saw like there was a woman in the TSA line doing like, and not like I hope she checks me, like not like I'm gross, but I was like, oh, she's really pretty, and I'm like, that's very strange to see a TSA agent and recognize that they're attractive. Not a pet peeve. Feel free to be beautiful.
Just a weird thing.
And it wasn't like some like fat like 80-year-old dude at the TSA. Like it was like a woman my age, and it would be okay if it was a guy who was attracted to. I'm just saying that it wasn't your name.
There's nothing
it's
wrong
not
with
the
that.
image in your head of a TSA agent.
Another pet peeve, tall people at concerts. Now, obviously, everyone has the right to go to a concert.
Right.
Right?
I don't know if you can have this pet peeve.
But when you're on the floor, all right? Like, so I as an example, the last 3 concerts I've had this problem. I went to saw 311 on Sunday. 22nd time I ever saw him.
Do they have 22 songs?
They have 12 albums. But they like there's a guy standing in front of us, like kind of, you know, like
Right.
towards the center, who's like 6'6", 6'7", like straight up. And I'm like, that's fine, sir. I know you can't do anything about it, but like you have to know that you can't just be in this mixture of people that are between 5'8" and like 6'1", and you're just in the middle blocking the like
You're obscuring the view.
You got to kind of go in the back. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm not trying to be sizist here.
I guess
But-
he was just a big fan. Goodbye, everybody.
You dematerialized.
He's head and shoulders above the rest.
My God.
But like we all want to be close, but you know that like when you're that tall, you're being quite obstructive
let's
to
say.
people that are
Sure.
average height 5. Like I just feel like I'm 6 foot tall. I feel like if I knew I was 6 inches taller, then I'd be like, well, I gotta like play this a little differently because I know someone behind me fucking hates me. These people like have to know that they're blocking, and because of the of a field of vision, they're actually blocking like an entire like triangles worth of people the closer you are to them. You know,
But I feel like you do that too, though. Like you're tall enough to qualify for that.
I don't think
There's
6
a lot of people shorter than you.
There's a lot of people shorter than me. There's a lot of people taller than me.
Yeah.
And I'm not. This is 311 shows are young. I thought they were young man's game actually until I went this last time and I realized I was like the youngest person there.
Yeah.
But
So do you propose like a kindergarten class picture scenario?
It's exactly
where
what I
everyone needs to
propose.
file in
Yeah.
like
But there's like
order of height, and then
10,000
Nick goes in the
people.
front and everyone else is in the back.
And a very female.
There's not 10,000 people.
You can easily
I mean, at like a normal band concert.
You can easily organize this maybe 20, 30 minutes before everyone goes in the show. You're good. You just have them all line up by height before they go in, and you go.
I see your point, but you can't like break his legs and like hobble him down to like a level. Like he probably feels bad. He's probably self-conscious, and he's like, I hope I'm not ruining
Just go
this for
stand by
everybody.
the back of the soundboard then.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean? Like you can see fine no matter where you are. You can see just fine.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Everyone has their phone up anyway,
Yep.
so they're gonna watch it when they get home.
Yeah.
This was one of the
I
things
hate
that
that.
bothered me about that was another pet peeve of mine because I tweeted out a picture or a short video of them playing a rare song that I've only seen them play like once or twice. And someone's like, I didn't expect that you were gonna be one of the guys to take out the phone. I'm like, yo, motherfucker, they haven't played the song in a long time.
Choice moments, dude. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. You go in, you need to know exactly. All right, I'm gonna film this 15 seconds for this memory, and that's what I want. Cool. Do
But then
you.
everyone
that's
taking
what we have these things.
But then
for.
everyone taking out their
That's
phones for
annoying
Amber and
now.
Beautiful Disaster. I'm like, they play these songs every fucking night, people.
Well, I mean,
go
not
on
everyone's been
YouTube.
to 22.
Go on YouTube.
No one's literally with them every night. That is actually one of my pet peeves. I was over the weekend. I watched a fight at a bar, and it was a very, very crowded bar. So it was one of those instances where you have your kind of eye line to the TV that you
Oh,
kind
it
of
was
set
a
up.
televised fight.
Yeah, televised fight.
Okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, I
Yo,
wasn't
I
like
hear Tony's gonna fight Mark. Let's go to the bar.
fucking Tony. He wins every time. No, so it was a UFC fight. It was televised at a
Yeah.
local bar, and sometimes I just pop over there for a drink and see it. But it always gets super, super crowded as the main event starts happening. So I've got my little spot, and as the main event is starting, right, as the people are coming in, you see people kind of getting their phones out and getting ready, and then shit starts going down. They start throwing punches, and every phone starts coming up to record it, and I'm like, you're watching it.
Yeah.
Just
But
watch it.
I want them sweet Vine loops.
But that's and I get why that's happening because people like that. But can we just enjoy the moment without having to get another follower from it? That is my only pet peeve. And I know Tim's shaking. I can close my fucking eyes. I know Tim's shaking his head
Come
right
on,
now
Tim. Yeah.
at me.
No, I
but-
agree with you. It's also like you're not watching it live. You're watching it through your phone live.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. There's a commonality, especially for live events, where you're experiencing that with everyone else, and then when you're experiencing, you already have the buffer of the TV in front of you anyway. Like it's not if you're at the fucking thing,
Right.
You're in a stadium. You're watching the Islanders shoot the puck against the icing.
That's pretty
with
close.
the red line.
You're almost there.
And
Yeah,
they're
look, you hold that stick.
look at they just.
You're
This is how they do it, right?
C minus
That's what they do
description.
when they win.
He's past the gym class. That's all that matters.
I get that you're at the experience, but you're watching it on a fucking TV, and then you're recording it on another mini TV.
So here's what I'll do.
You're so far removed.
I'll turn it around on. I'll turn you around. All right. I ever tell you about my poppy, my grandfather?
Nope.
Great guy. World War
Get
II
the notepad.
vet.
Get the notepad.
Yeah,
out.
no, this
yeah.
is
Take
about
a
to
note.
start.
World War II vet. Great.
Mhm.
Had Purple Heart, all that jazz. Great man. Love him to death. You know what I mean?
What theater?
I don't remember. No, he's still in Normandy.
Oh, so Europe. Okay.
Yeah.
Europe. Cool.
Great man. Love him to death. He's long since passed, right? He did not digitally archive anything he ever saw. So I have no idea what shows he watched or what sporting events were important to him.
Maybe it's none of your goddamn business.
I want to know.
Maybe it's none of your business.
All I know is that he used to have to watch soap operas when
But
grandma was
also,
sick, and then
how
I'd
much-
get in trouble when I turned it to Batman.
How much worse would it Normandy have been if it was like, hey y'all, about to storm Normandy.
Selfie,
Selfie click. Like, what if
Is it
that
coming
was
now?
the greatest generation?
That's all I'm saying is that like
GoPros.
I think technology oftentimes gets in the middle of actually real experiences, and I'm not saying it happens all the time. Obviously, it was 5 seconds. I wasn't that heartbroken when they took it out. I was excited to see the fight as well, but at the same time, I'm like you have to question how and why you're choosing to experience these things and what they really mean to you. Because if it's just to get that tweet, then you're not getting the fullest experience out of it, in my opinion. Now, I've done the thing too when like we were, the movie starting, and I'm excited to be this movie, and I've done it. So I've done this.
We're all
before.
guilty.
We're all guilty of it, sure.
But at the same time, I try not to because I'm like, I want to be here and I want to experience it.
Those without sin cast the first stone. Nick.
It's true.
Let me hit you with two more.
Go.
We were talking about this at when we went to get burritos before. Waiters that don't write down what you're ordering. And now I appreciate it's
The
not a
dedication
game
to the
of-
craft.
Yeah, it's like
I like your parlor tricks.
but then
sir.
they have to go through it and then they're making mistakes, so they're like,
First
like,
one.
Yeah.
First one. He was like, okay, I got it, everyone. Let me just go through it one more time. And you're like, no, this is not going to work. This is not going to work.
So that's just a small pet peeve of mine. That it's not no shame in that taking a note. Smart men take notes.
Yeah.
Kevin take
Da
notes.
Vinci scribbled endlessly in his notebooks, backwards.
He
In
would do
fact.
all sorts
So
of
did
stuff.
Son of Sam.
Son of Sam also took notes
Both did
backwards.
good things for society.
And finally, we talked about this.
Just right. We're on the same level, those two.
We talked about this already, but I noticed this when I was in San Diego, and Aaron and I take a lot of Ubers everywhere, and I noticed that like my conversations with Uber drivers when I have to have a conversation with them always are about driving an Uber. That's like probably one of my pet peeves that's actually developing the most right now.
Yeah.
Fucking time.
Oh, how's it going? Oh, good. So busy tonight? Like, you don't know what to say. And they're like, oh, yeah. What's up? And then 10 minutes later, you're talking about the fucking business of Uber. This happens 9 out of 10 times in an Uber. I've written hundreds of these things now.
Dude.
And I have to do something about it. We have to have other things to talk about.
It's because they all just started. Every fucking Uber ride I've had in the last 6 months, the guy's like, dude, I'm on. This is my second night. How am I doing? And I'm like, so in this city right now, just so you know, you haven't lived here in a while.
Yeah.
You either are riding in an Uber or you're driving an Uber.
Right.
That's the only two things people do anymore.
Right.
That's it. I feel you on that one because that is completely ridiculous.
I also feel like a lot of that's on you though, because I don't have those conversations.
What kind of conversations do you have?
Every time I've ever been in an Uber or taxi with you, you start that conversation.
Well, we had the conversation in Boston, which
That-
is I know
that
the
was
one
the
you're talking
thing.
about. That's a different one. We had this like somewhat adversarial conversation with a cab driver in Boston about this time last year during PAX East about how Uber was putting him out of business and how he had a medallion that was worth like $300,000 and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, but
You suck.
the market kind of speaking.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Where it's kind of cold out, so we don't really want to have this argument right now.
You don't really
we're
wanna
still
get-
a mile away from the
Yeah.
show. And I saw Tim kind of looking a little uncomfortable,
It's
and
like, oh God, here we go.
yeah, that one was my fault.
Yeah,
That happens.
I mean, pet peeves. I have lists. Last time we did this topic, I busted out the list. And I still have a million more, but one that caught my eye here is when you start thinking about things that you normally wouldn't really put much thought into. For example, you're at the movie theater and you pay $7 for a soda, and you're realizing you're paying $7 for that person to pour soda into a cup. That bothers me. You're not paying $7 for the soda. You're paying $7 for someone to pour soda into a cup.
How do you
And
feel
I don't
about paying
enjoy that.
$7 now where they give you the cup and you go to the fancy machine? And
Well, that's even. I mean, that's it. Oh, yeah. I don't like that either.
yeah.
Like that's upsetting because then it's like then you're not even giving me the courtesy of
Doing it for me.
yeah. You're not fucking me. You're making me fuck myself. I don't like that shit at
That
all.
sounds preferable.
I'm going to throw one out. It does. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw one out that's been happening recently. A lot recently, actually, since I think Greg pointed it out the other day. We park sometimes in a space where we have to walk across a median to get to
Oh,
it.
this motherfucker.
And there's always someone who thinks they're doing you a solid by stopping in the middle of the road and letting you go. But it's always the last fucking car.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, just go. Just go.
You're like,
There's
go,
I'm like,
waving,
go.
you're waving,
And he's
you're
like, and they
waving.
give you this fucking look. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing you such a fucking favor right now because you are walking and I am fucking piloting this automobile, so I am superior to you. I will let you walk in front of me. In
I
reality,
perfectly timed my walk, sir, so my momentum would carry me behind your bumper.
I got pissed at someone today.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. She stopped and there was a bunch of cars coming and I'm like, I gave her the fucking like jetway, like go, 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 and she was like, ah, and she just fucking freaked out and like gunned it, and I'm like
Lost
laughing. I felt
control,
like an asshole.
crash into a car.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine, especially walking around in San Francisco. Like just any time you have to interact with another car, it's people just fucking lose their minds. They don't understand what's happening. I also have a pet peeve of bicyclists, just in general.
Yeah,
don't like them, don't get them. I know it's good for you. They blow through stop signs
I
and
have
they
the same
complain
thing.
about getting hit.
Yeah.
You get it probably a lot in New
I
York.
don't, yeah, cyclists. I respect the idea of cycling, and you want to save money, or you want to be healthy, or you want to go to work.
It's good for your
But it's
body.
always like, what you know what? My pet peeve is when you have a bicycle and you bring it on the fucking subway. It's like, no. You have transportation. You don't bring transportation on the transportation. Well, it's far. Well, then fuck, you don't have a bike. I hate it. It's always like someone who could just kick the shit out of me so I don't say anything because I'm a pussy. But like at the same time, I'm a coward. But still, it's so mad inside. But I'm like, have a nice day.
Yeah.
I feel like vending machines in general, they're always just fucked up.
What is
Like,
that vending?
there's always something. Whether it's something getting stuck, and then
Sure.
you're like, all right. Then you have to go through that whole mental thing of like, all right, that Snickers bar,
Yeah.
it was worth 50 cents. Is it potentially worth $1?
Yeah.
But I might get 2 out of that.
Yeah.
Do I need 2? Then you have that whole fucking thing. And that's
Would you
an
pay
issue.
someone $7 to get that Snickers bar for you?
Oh my God. No, I would not. I
See,
would fucking
I'm
not.
totally opposite with you on the whole Coke thing in the movie theaters. I love that I have a servant behind that counter
Hated
that I
that
can
shit.
just pay hundreds of dollars to, and he will fill my diet soda at my bidding.
I hate
the whole
that.
that shit with the serve your own beverage.
Yeah.
That's taking it a step too far. I want you to perfectly, the time they, and they keep going for you. I'm like, yeah, work. work for that fucking money. That's my hard-earned dollars, and you're gonna twerk for me. You're gonna embarrass yourself for me. You're gonna take your shirt off.
So donate to Patreon so Nick can make that happen.
Yes. I'll film it next time.
Jesus.
Did I go dark?
Yeah.
You got real dark.
Sorry.
I have a pet peeve of just societal norms. Like I don't have like dealing with other people's shit. So it's like, I'll go to the bathroom and I'll pee and it's really fast, but I'll stay there for a little longer because I don't want people around me thinking, man, he pees really fast. So I'll stay there. Fuck them, That's
No
their
one
problem.
would think
No
that.
one thought that.
one would think
Bullshit.
that.
Bullshit. If I went in and peed as fast as I can pee sometimes, you guys would judge me.
I want you to start doing it.
how fast are we talking?
Go right now.
I don't need to pee right now. That's not
can
how
wait.
pee works,
But
Greg.
I would just assume you were doing something else, like blowing your nose or checking your face or teeth or something in there. Like maybe you're
No,
not.
I'm talking about you're at a urinal. Like there's me and you standing at urinals. I faked pee next to you so many times.
I've been alive
Really?
31
Yeah.
years and I've never been like, he peed pretty fast.
Yeah, that's because, that's
Why
because
do you
people are
fake-
faking it.
I have.
No, but what are you faking what?
Faking the pee.
Have
For
you
what
looked into this?
benefit?
Have you looked into this like scientifically? Is there something different
yeah,
about your
there's
dick?
stats all over the place. So I'm not
What did you
alone.
Google for this?
I just
Big
know.
urethra.
People just
Wide
people just tell us.
urethras.
Wide urethras.
Gaping urethra.
It
See
all,
what happens
it all
there.
just comes out like pours out for 1 second.
It's a
But it's a
fucking
half a
bucket.
gallon.
Right.
It's like cutting the bottom off of a 2-liter jug.
This is an interesting one with this group specifically because there's a lot of people here that do this. But so when you sneeze, like I sneeze once, you guys sneeze like 10 bazillion times.
Right.
I never know how many times to say bless you.
Just once.
Or
is fine.
when. The once is fine. But then it's like, it's weird if I bless you in the middle of your sneezes. Because Greg kind of has a rhythm and a pace to it. Nick's are more just like, here's one. Here's one. I'm like, fuck, you got me.
Yeah. Well, I have weird allergies right now. I don't know if you guys are noticing that or not, but like in your own noses. But I have the weird. There's weird stuff going on. I think the world's dying.
Okay.
I just think it's dying.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, probably.
It's like that Marky Mark movie.
Oh, with
M.
the
Night
trees.
Shyamalan.
Oh, is it happening?
Yeah,
What about the bees? It's happening.
It's all happening. Oh, that was a different.
No,
movie.
yeah, I don't like that. I
That's
don't
a whole
like
different
the
movie.
getting a bless you after every sneeze.
Yeah.
I'm like,
'Cause it's like, all right,
I'm
go
already
fuck
embarrassed
yourself.
that this is a thing.
Yeah.
Can we all just ignore it?
I don't like when
right,
someone
right.
steals my bless you though, as well. Like like three people say bless you around, say bless you, but like the person turns to the person like, or oh thank you. Like yo, I said bless you and I said it maybe half a second first, and I fucking did.
I don't like the pressure of having to say
Yeah,
thank you
no.
for the blood. Don't fucking say bless you. I know
my
you. I
God.
know you heard me sneeze. Just let me
It is a
wallow
weird
in
one,
my
huh?
embarrassment over here that something might be hanging out of my nose. Don't fucking acknowledge it. Just stay in your world. You don't care. You don't fucking care.
It is
that
a
I
weird
just
bless you
sneezed.
is still a weird.
It's a weird
Very-
society
a
thing.
very-
Yeah, it's like a
I
weird
would do it
tradition.
if I had the fucking option.
It's
But
very
then if I
archaic.
don't do it, everyone else is going to judge me and my long peas.
Yeah, it's our short piece.
Yeah, whatever.
What is it?
Stories
Short
changed
piece.
a lot.
I do feel like bless you is I
it's
say it
weird.
every time I hear
It's
someone
dumb.
sneeze, always, even a stranger, but I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, it's about demons coming out of you and shit from the Middle Ages and stuff. But like, why? Yeah, it is true. It's like, why are we even?
Why do we do
Like
that?
we're sneezing. It's just a thing your
Why-
body does.
Right. Why do I need the people around me to tell me it's okay to sneeze? You know,
I think
why
it's
do
just
I
an
get their
acknowledgement
validation
of your weakness.
of my weakness?
Yeah.
Maybe that is. You sneeze a lot. You and I sneeze, but if that's a weakness, you and I
We're
are
very weak.
the weakest people on the planet. We're like the Samuel L. Jackson from Unbreakable.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They called me Mr.
Mr.
Glass.
Glass, I put a glove on. Oh shit! I broke my hand.
Great impression.
Thank you.
That was very
I do
good.
an awesome
Spot
Samuel
on.
L.
You do.
If I closed my eyes, I'd see Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, I'm Nick Fury. That's what I do.
Yeah,
not even
no,
the
that's
same.
really good. Do
He's
you
an
do
event- you're
commercials
an
when Samuel L.
event.
Jackson's not available?
I do fill in for Samuel L.
Do me the
I call him
what's
Sam.
in your wallet.
What's in your wallet?
Spot on.
Is it a credit
It's very
card?
close.
I don't
Very
know.
close. Anyway, the
transitioning
idea of the
into
topic
Bane.
was supposed to be weird pet peeves, but then I realized just pet peeves are just pet peeves.
Yeah.
So,
I would file people being mad about paying too little is a weird pet peeve. I would file Tim's under that.
No.
that
you
seems like
guys just
irrational
don't know.
fears. That's a different topic. Irrational fears. We could do that later.
Yeah, we could do.
My whole life is one irrational fear after the other. So
Yeah.
We do a whole just episode of pet peeves around restaurants, restaurant etiquette, the hosting, not being sat if your entire party's not there.
or just sitting there for 5-10 minutes without anyone even acknowledging
Yeah.
your existence.
When they leave the mayonnaise in the sun.
Oh, that's bullshit. That's just dangerous.
I know.
Yeah.
Really dangerous.
I know.
But that's like in Germany. That's some German shit right
That's
there.
Germany?
Like,
That has Germany written all over
yeah,
it.
when you go to like
Yeah.
Cologne,
Yeah.
and they're
Sons
just
of
like, no,
bitches.
there's the mayonnaise right there, and it's like it's turned a shade of purple Because it's so
This
rotten.
didn't happen to you.
Never happened to me now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the GameOverGreggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get every show early, along with exclusive access, perks, and other things. If you have no bucks to toss us over there, though, go to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post the entire show for you day by day, topic by topic, until the entire thing posts as one big MP3 and video. Mike Drucker,
Thank you for having me.
we love you. Thank you so much.
I
for
love
coming
you.
on.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody follow him on Twitter.
Please, at Mike Drucker.
Watch The Tonight Show.
Watch The Tonight Show, How to Be a Person, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Twitch, Mike Drucker.
No. Yeah. You got it unlocked.
Picking up the Twitch
People
thing.
you got a Snapchat, Mike Drucker, yet?
Yeah.
You got
It's
Elo?
Drucker Mike, though, I think, on Snapchat.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Someone was Mike Drucker already.
Sons of bitches. These fucking young kids. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Kevin Coelho, my son.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What would you do if I was actually your
Juan?
biological father? If it's by some weird
Juan?
happenstance,
That'd be great.
you were related to me. You came out of the tip of my
Penis.
penis.
All right.
You were once in his urethra.
Hold on.
You were just a little squiggly tail.
Save this for the
Didn't know what was
outtakes.
gonna happen. And then you came into life. What would you do?
What would you do?
What would you do?
Changing tense
To
and
make a decision
everything.
right now.
I'm John Gettys. What would you do?